Not bad right now. We've got the usual slowdowns, but right now just some brake tapping. Northbound 65 to get up to 40, then eastbound 24 from the 65 split north of downtown all the way down to Harding Place. After that, you're back up to speed on 24 eastbound. East and westbound 40, got the usual slowdown there between 40 on the west end and over there at 24, just this side of the airport. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It is 7 minutes past the hour of 3 o'clock on Super Talk. It's Wednesday, November 20th, and there's a big bright ball of sunshine out there.
Is that what that is?
Yeah, it's nice. Turned up nice. What do we?
Lovely.
I can't see what our temperature is. What?
Got 59 degrees.
59. Yeah, that's all right. That's all right for mid to late November.
Oh, yeah.
I'll take it. I'll take it for sure. Hope you're having a good day. We're going to get right into it with some talk about the transition, because really right now there's nothing more important than the transition and making sure that President Trump gets all of his cabinet picks, as many have been named so far. And today we had Matt Gaetz up on Capitol Hill doing his first round of meetings with senators, escorted by the Vice President-elect, J.D. Vance. I mean, that's the top handler. Usually these guys have a handler when they go up and they begin the process. And the handler in this particular case is the incoming Vice President and quite frankly, the President of the Senate, J.D. Vance. And one of the people that they met with today was Senator Marsha Blackburn of Tennessee. And a few moments ago, she was on Fox, sort of giving her readout on how she feels about all that. Sounds like she's in on Gaetz.
When I met with Matt Gaetz and Vice President-elect Vance today, I asked Matt what his expectation was, and he wants to be able to have a hearing. He says he will answer any question that anyone asks him, and we have to keep in mind, President Trump has a mandate from the American people, and he has pushed forward with nominees for these positions that will help him to carry out that mandate. I'm going to support each of these nominees. And Matt wants to have a hearing, and he wants the opportunity to answer all of those questions. And I will add, I asked him what he would do if he were to be confirmed as Attorney General for the United States, and he was very specific. Dealing with the weaponization of the DOJ is at the top of the list. Dealing with the illegal immigration and the border security issues. Dealing with fentanyl. All of these are items on his to-do list. The members of the Senate that I've spoken with think that advice and consent is vitally important, and they're looking forward to the hearings. They do recognize that President Trump has a mandate, and it is going to be up to us to support him so that he has the people to carry out that mandate. He has made some great choices. So here's the thing that we're not going to put up with. It is constantly trying to block and to stall and to prohibit people from being able to go through a hearing and go through a confirmation process. And I think that Chuck Schumer and the Democrats have a choice. They can work with us to go through these committee hearings in the manner that they're supposed to take place and move these individuals to a floor, the Senate floor, for a vote, or then President Trump has the ability to use recess appointment. President Obama had 32 recess appointments that he exercised. And there are many people that say, well, President Trump could do 32, 33. And I think that would be a good thing if he needs to do that. And this is why it is going to be so important that the Democrats come to the table, that they allow these hearings to take place. The American people have spoken. They want to see President Trump's nominees put into place in order for him to carry out the mandate. I'm looking forward to Matt Gaetz coming to committee and answering the questions of the committee members. I'm certain he's going to be willing to do that. We had a great meeting today, and I look forward to welcoming him to the Judiciary Committee, and I look forward to supporting President Trump as we move forward in this process.
So there you go. I mean, a complete readout. Sounds like she had a good conversation with Gaetz and is looking forward to supporting him. Gaetz, is probably the most difficult of the nominations to get through the process because, I mean, you got people who are already sort of expressing concern, the regular group that you'd expect. But in some you might not expect. I mean, for example, you got Susan Collins of Maine and you got Lisa Murkowski of Alaska, Republicans both, sort of. And they have said that they're not sure that they can go for that. Then you got other interesting characters now. I mean, think about this. We haven't thought about it. Mitch McConnell is still a member of the Senate. He may not be the majority leader, but he's a member of the Senate. And what has he got to lose? He can do whatever he wants to. Is he coming back for another term? I don't think so. So, that he might be cantankerous. Then I see this. Senator Joni Ernst, a Republican of Iowa, told The Hill last week that it was an uphill climb to secure support for Gaetz with a majority of senators. But here's the thing that I keep coming back to on Gaetz, and maybe I'm changing my opinion just a little bit here on Gaetz. I mean, I think it's a tough nomination to get through, but I keep seeing these time after time after time, these allegations are leveled in Washington. And then when you get a chance to hear from the person, there are explanations that sort of went, well, maybe that's not exactly what, everything we thought it was, it turned out not to be. And the reason that I say there may be that element here is that, I mean, look, the FBI did a complete investigation and decided not to bring charges. Completely decided not to bring charges. I mean, do you think that the FBI, under the watchful eye of Merrick Garland, was going to pass up an opportunity to take a swipe at Matt Gaetz if they had a clean shot at him? I think if they had anything that they thought was even close to being prosecutable, that they would have brought a case. We've seen cases where it wasn't even really that strong a case and they brought a case. I just don't think they would have passed that up. Now, we'll wait and see what happens. And, there's a report that was done by the House Ethics Committee. It's already starting to leak out, quite frankly, bits and pieces of it. And it won't be much of a secret what was in that report by the time we get to confirmation hearings. But Matt Gaetz deserves a chance to explain and answer questions and defend himself. And so we'll see how that all goes. If Gaetz gets through, I think most of the others probably will as well. The other one that I guess a lot of people are sort of looking at, maybe to some degree, Pete Hegseth, but I think that one's going to go through. And then you got Tulsi Gabbard as the Director of National Intelligence. That might be sort of a heavy lift for some, but we'll see. I think there's a possibility, a fairly good possibility that that all of these nominations will get through. But if one falls by the wayside, that's not unusual. I mean, a lot of presidents have had to, come back for a second try at cabinet positions that just didn't pan out before the United States Senate. But Vance up there with Gaetz, making the rounds today. And, and Marsha Blackburn, Marsha says, hey, I'm going to be all in on Matt Gaetz. Now, this confirmation process, the way it's supposed to work is you bring them, they have a hearing in the committee of jurisdiction, for example, in the attorney general, it would be the judiciary committee. And you have hearings, and it'll be a big dog and pony show. And the Democrats are going to throw a lot of mud, and it's going to be a lot of wailing and gnashing of teeth and all kinds of stuff. It's going to be a big show thing, as it always is, especially in the Senate Judiciary Committee. But then if they don't want to, if they want to drag their feet on this thing, if the Democrats do, there is this thing where you do a recess appointment. Now, John Thune, the incoming majority leader of the Senate, says that he's leaving that open as a possibility.
Well, what we're going to do is make sure that we are processing his nominees in a way that gets them into those positions so they can implement his agenda. How that happens remains to be seen. Obviously, we want to make sure our committees have confirmation hearings like they typically do, and that these nominees report it out to the floor. But I've said this, and I mean it, that we expect a level of cooperation from the Democrats to work with us to get these folks installed. And obviously, we're going to look at explore all options to make sure that they get moved and that they get moved quickly.
It would be fair to say, as long as you get it to the floor for a vote, then, if it's up or down, then okay, let the chips fall where they may. But refusing to take it to the floor, I think, would be a bad move on the part of the Democrats. Tom Tillis, senator from North Carolina, says he's okay with some recess appointments, but doesn't want to see them used on cabinet-level positions.
I want President Trump to consider if it's possible to recess appoint a National Labor Relations Board member or a CFPB member or some of these hyper-partisan recess appointments that Obama did. Let's just best them by at least one, but not for a cabinet-level position. That should be absolutely off the table.
Well, okay. Now, let me just say one thing. This is a Senate matter. The Senate has the responsibility of advice and consent, and the House has nothing to do with this. So if you hear somebody over in the House spouting off, just put it under the category of what? Sound and fury, signifying absolutely nothing. Because it doesn't matter what people in the House think. This is strictly in the United States Senate. It doesn't have to go over for a vote in the House. Whatever the Senate does, that's it. That's the end of the process. So there you have that. Breitbart says all Trump nominees said to be on solid political ground for confirmation. This is according to Jeff Greenfield, a contributing writer at Politico, which you might not expect him to say that. He says that he thinks basically that the last time a nominee was rejected on the floor of the Senate was in 1989. I was there. It was John Tower. John Tower was a senator from Texas. He wasn't very tall. He used to say, "My name is Tower, and I don't." Because he was a little runny guy. But he was nominated to become the Secretary of Defense. And there were questions about his drinking, and there was questions about, a bunch of other stuff. And quite frankly, he wasn't very popular among other senators. And I saw that one go down in flames. They took it all the way to a floor for a vote, and it went down in flames. I was there that day, and I covered it. So I remember it quite vividly. It was really, if people talk about confirmations hearings and how, it all changed after Bork. Bork was the response, I think, to some other things that happened, but Tower preceded Bork. And then, then we had the whole Clarence Thomas thing. Those are Supreme Court nominations, but they still, it's the process is the same. So, look, I think that it's possible it could get ugly, but we'll see. The standard now is not the standard that it was in 1989. And if it really gets down to it, they're not stupid. They know how to count. If somebody's going to go down in flames, they'll pull the nomination. That's the way it usually goes. All right. Rather than go in there and get voted down, they just take the nomination. The person will generally there'll be a phone call, and the person is asked to withdraw. I got a lot more to talk about with regard to where we are on all this transition process. But right now it's 20 minutes past the hour of 3 o'clock. Let me tell you about Genesis Diamond's biggest and last sale of the year. It's coming Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. You've been hearing about this. It's an extraordinary event with savings up to 35% store-wide. Rings, earrings, pendants, bands, bracelets, nothing held back for this once-a-year, 3-day store-wide event. Acclaimed designers will be there with expanded collections and special prices. And it's a massive jewelry trunk show with a lot of new items never seen before. California and New York designers are here showing off the really good stuff. Get across-the-board savings from wedding bands to engagement rings to fashion earrings and bracelets. Shop early for Christmas and don't miss the prices. You can get some good deals here. Plus, get 0% interest financing. And yes, luxury pre-owned Rolexes included. Genesis has a fantastic collection of really hard-to-find Rolex watches in pristine condition. Lab-grown diamonds also included. Listen, when Genesis Diamonds has a sale, you know it's the real thing. Extreme values at this once-a-year event, the biggest and last store-wide sale of the year. Friday, Saturday, and yes, even Sunday for this incredible event. Genesis Diamonds, 2 locations, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Emotional testimony today from a heartbroken mother of a daughter murdered by an illegal immigrant and a mother who intentionally drowned her children. Details coming up at 3:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
That's Ken Weaver in the newsroom, pushing the blinky buttons today. Chris Weber, as always, and I am your friend and radio buddy, Brian Wilson, talking about these confirmation battles that will be coming Interesting op-ed in the Federalist. Republicans must defend Matt Gaetz to end the use of salacious lies as a political weapon. Let me just read a little bit of this because I think it really makes the point quite effectively about how this is like, what they do now in Washington. They send out some kind of salacious lies. We should have learned this lesson from Donald Trump's first presidential run and time in office, from Crossfire Hurricane to the PP dossier to Special Counsel Robert Mueller's investigation. Unsupported and unbelievable accusations leaked to the public hampered Trump's ability to advance his agenda. Time and again, the charges proved unfounded. And yet, in advance of the 2024 election, the lawfare continued. The country, however, has wised up by then and recognized the various criminal and civil charges leveled against Trump for what they were, an effort to interfere in the election. Look, really, honestly, this is one where you got to start to say, we're not going to play that game anymore. We're not going to allow that game to be played. Now, what about our other senator? We heard earlier from Senator Marsha Blackburn. What about Bill Hagerty? Well, as I mentioned to you yesterday during this program, we saw him there at Boca Chica, Texas, there for the launch of the big spacecraft, Elon Musk's massive rocket, and he was there with President Trump, and Senator Ted Cruz was there as well. And, whenever you see one of your senators who's been talked about as a potential cabinet member with the president-elect, well, you got to ask yourself, well, did they have a conversation? Is something happening? And so here's what I'm getting from the Tennessean. Senator Bill Hagerty reportedly now one out of three vying to lead the Treasury Department in Trump's upcoming administration. The former private equity investor turned politician is reportedly vying for the position alongside Federal Reserve Board of Governor member Kevin Warsh and Apollo CEO Mark Rowan, is what the folks at the Tennessean say. And as they mentioned, as I did, that Hagerty was seen with Trump and Elon Musk's most recent SpaceX launch of the Starship in South Texas, and reportedly flew to the event with him on Trump's big airplane, this according to Bloomberg. The 65-year-old senator was first thought to be in the running for Secretary of State, but that went to Marco Rubio. If Hagerty is able to secure the position, it'll be a leg up from his previous tenure as ambassador to Japan during Trump's first time in office in 2016. I think that Hagerty is definitely in Trump's orbit. I think that they have a good relationship, obviously. You don't get on Trump Force One and fly down to Texas with the president-elect unless something is being discussed. Would love to know exactly how that all went and what's going to happen. We'll be watching. I did send him a little text message yesterday after I saw him with the president-elect, and I said, got anything you want to share with me? He doesn't. Hasn't yet.
Did he say he doesn't, or did he just not respond?
He just did not respond.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, if he had something to say, even like a ha-ha, like fat chance, I'm going to tell you anything, I would have told you that. No, but he just didn't respond. Sometimes he responds. Sometimes he doesn't. But look, it'll be interesting because what that does is not only does it make it interesting to have a Tennessee senator moved in such a prominent position as Secretary of Treasury, it would also open up a whole lot of interesting things that we need to discuss about Tennessee politics and how they would fill that position and who might be considered by the governor. If he were to get the job, I think the way it would work is that the governor would appoint somebody who would serve until 2026, and then there would be a special election to figure that all out. And so we'll watch that and see how it all goes. But it could be interesting. What I'm hearing is that one of the things, and I've said this before, one of the things that the governor's trying to do with if he has to fill that position with someone is take out somebody who might be in the running for governor, so that you could help clear the pathway for Marsha Blackburn, who apparently wants to be governor, I'm hearing. So we'll see if that buzz is true or not as time goes forward. 30 minutes now past the hour of 3 o'clock.
3:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Colder temperatures coming. Full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Right now in Middle Tennessee, TBI, active silver alert for 67-year-old Patricia Della Vega missing from Clarksville. Authorities asking you to keep an eye out for a 2017 green Subaru Forester with Tennessee specialty plate Woman Veteran 4779. See her or the vehicle, call Clarksville PD or TBI at 1-800-TBI-FIND. The family of Laken Riley telling the judge who found the illegal immigrant accused of murdering her guilty asked the same judge to show no mercy in sentencing.
This sick, twisted, and evil coward showed no regard for Laken or human life. We are asking that same be done to him.
Judge H. Patrick Haggard.
Count 1, malice murder. I sentence you to life without the possibility of parole.
That is Jose Ibarra's next stop. Meanwhile, in front of parole board in Columbia, South Carolina, Susan Smith, convicted of intentionally drowning her 2 sons 30 years ago, was denied, even though she said she was sorry.
I'm sorry. I don't know. I know that's not enough. I know it's not, but I don't know. I know that's just sound like words, but they come from my heart. They really do.
Smith's ex-husband and father of their boys had his say.
I miss them very much. And I love them very much. And I will be here every 2 years going forward.
Reasons for the parole board's denial were the nature and seriousness of the crime and Smith's institutional record of offenses, including having sex with a prison guard and drug use. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, congestion building now around the loop downtown, especially if you're eastbound 24. That's brake tapping all the way down to Harding Place. East and westbound 40 from the west end over to the 24 split. Northbound 65 getting backed up to go eastbound on 40, and then also northbound 65 to go eastbound on 440. Seeing particularly heavy traffic, Harding Pike. That's going to be east and westbound right there at Briley Parkway. Same goes for Briley Parkway, both directions there at Harding Pike. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly. who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
It's 38 minutes past the hour of 3 o'clock, hour number one of the drive on this 20th day of November. Real quick, let's just look at the weather because it really is going to get cooler. I'm looking at the forecast that says that, well, let's see, like tomorrow morning, 36. Friday morning, early, 35. Saturday, 37. Sunday, 37. Then it gets, we start a little warmer on Monday. Next week. But the highs are interesting. The high today is going to be, they say, I don't know, we make up a little short here. Says the high is going to be 62.
Oh, I don't think we're going to hit that.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I
Thursday,
still say shorts until December.
Okay, man. Thursday, a high of 46. Friday, a high of 49. Yeah. Saturday, a high of 54. Sunday. It's the fun day, 63.
Yeah.
And then Monday, maybe some rain in the area, but 68.
That's warm.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's so, but,
Interesting.
See, the reason I need to know this is because I know that what's going to happen is that's perilously close to freezing.
Oh, all that tender vegetation you have?
Yeah, well, I know, Cabana wife is going to come in and say, help me move all the plants. we have a lot of plants.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure that's probably on my agenda tonight when I get off the radio.
Yeah, well, as long as you're ready for it.
I don't have any choice. She's the Cabana wife. We just say, I always get the last word in any of our big discussions.
And that is?
Yes, dear.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Yeah. That's the way it
Sounds
goes.
right.
Speaking of, we continue to talk about the transition. Trump has nominated Linda, or he apparently will. I don't know. Did this happen yet? I've got the story that it was going to happen. Has it happened yet? Secretary of Education, Ken, do you know?
Oh, the Linda McMahon?
Yeah, has that happened?
Yes.
Okay, so he did nominate Linda McMahon to lead at the Education Department. Oh, yeah, here it is. We will send education back to the states. And Linda will spearhead that effort, he said last night. That was last night. Okay. Why this headline is very confusing. The selection of McMahon as Education Secretary came hours after Trump picked Howard Lutnick for Commerce Secretary, for which McMahon had been apparently a leading contender. She served as the head of the Small Business Administration in Trump's first term, serves as co-chair of the Trump transition team. She and her husband, Vince McMahon, built WWE into an entertainment powerhouse that popularized wrestling showmen such as Hulk Hogan and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. So, yeah, take it back to the states. Now, the question is, can they really do that? You've got basically the Department of Education is, completely ineffective. It's about 4,425 employees, the smallest of any cabinet-level agency. And getting rid of it would depend on overcoming, as the Wall Street Journal points out, and I think they're right, practical and political hurdles. So will that really happen? I hope it does. I mean, I'm telling you, I am so done with the federal, federal government dictating to local jurisdictions how they're going to educate kids. Because if they had any great ideas, maybe we'd be a little further along than we are right now. Because the results, kids are not getting brighter. They're going the wrong way. And I don't know what's going on in schools. I have an opinion about that, about some things that I think that are being taught in schools that have absolutely nothing to do with the basics of education. But, will he actually be able to do it? I hope he can. I hope that they can do it and just, take that same amount of money and shuttle it back to the states and let them make the decisions on the state and local level. This really, honestly, we should, when we go to the ballot box, we should probably all spend a great deal more time thinking about who we're putting on our school boards. It's so important. It's so important. It really does set sort of the standard for what's going to happen in the local schools. And I think it's almost an afterthought. We just don't think about it a lot of times. We go in there and say, well, I don't know, who should I vote for? We haven't done our homework. We really should pay more attention to that as we go forward. Will there be a new FBI director? Christopher Wray, if I were him, I'd be packing my bags and starting to box stuff up in my office. I'm wondering, I heard that in some agencies in Washington, after the election, like the day after the election, shredding trucks were seen around, some of the major buildings, including the FBI and the Department of Justice. So Christopher Wray, if I were him, I'd be like collecting some boxes, and taking them to work. And I just bring a little home every day, and that way, by the time you get, to the end, you don't have very much more to move.
It's good advice. Yeah.
And just say this, start with, like the little knickknacks you have on your wall.
Yeah. Picture frames, maybe.
Picture frames, then just a few pictures. And then, all those documents you don't want the next director of the FBI to ever see. That'll happen. But anyway, the question is, who will it be? A lot of people have talked about Representative Mike Rogers, but I'm reading in conservative venues that a lot of people don't think Mike Rogers is the guy to do it. But Kash Patel might do it. Who knows? But if I were Christopher Wray, I would not hope on filling out my full 10-year term. I don't think that's going to happen. And then you got Dr. Oz. We told you about that. He's going to be the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services administrator. And I thought it was interesting that Senator John Fetterman, Democrat of Pennsylvania, who he ran against, has said that, no hard feelings. I don't think he's a bad guy. Just because he was my, the person that I went up again in an election, I could vote to confirm him if, and the if is he going to be about protecting and preserving Medicare and Medicaid? He said, if he's about that, then I'm voting for the dude, said Fetterman. I'm starting, is it wrong of me? I'm starting to like John Fetterman more and more.
He's coming around.
When he first came in, we all sort of thought, wow, what did Pennsylvania do? They sent a guy who can barely function. And everybody said, and he said at the time, I'm going to get better as time goes along with the therapy and with a little passage of time. I'm sure that my ability to communicate will become much better after having that stroke. And, that has proven to be true, because if you listen to him talk now, he's a lot better than he was before. But one of the things I like about it is he's unpredictable. You don't know how he's going to vote. It's not if you're John Fetterman, if you're a Democrat, you can't count on John Fetterman to just, fall in line. Sometimes he does and sometimes he doesn't. So I thought it was interesting that Fetterman said that he could support Dr. Oz if he's going to be about protecting, preserving Medicare and Medicaid. Look, the left really tried to scare old people to death about, well, your Social Security is going to be gone and your Medicare is going to be gone and your Medicaid is all going to be gone. That's the third rail of politics. And you know what? Is it the perfect system? No. Could it use a little updating and can we look at things fresh and new? Absolutely. But is anybody going to seriously do away with it? It would be political suicide for not only Donald Trump, but also anybody who's in his administration who might want to follow on. And for the Republican Party at large. Nobody in the world wants to be the person who takes money away from old people. As somebody who's an old person, let me tell you, this is about to get serious for me. I'm going to be one of them old people on Medicare. Boy, like you have a choice. America is facing a healthcare crisis, and there may be no physician more qualified and capable than Dr. Oz, said Trump, to make America healthy again. Dr. Oz will work closely with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to take on the illness industrial complex and all the horrible chronic diseases left in its wake. That's pretty interesting. And that he's going to be working with RFK. RFK is going to have a powerful voice in this administration. And again, it'll be interesting to see as director of HHS, Health and Human Services, Kennedy could have a real impact on rethinking certain things. I think one of the things that I've sort of discovered about institutions of government and institutions writ large in America, and I'm talking about the medical, complex, whatever you want to call it, healthcare industry, is that things start to happen and the status quo starts to settle in, and nobody ever wants to challenge the status quo. And boy, if you try to change the status quo, then there's going to be hollering and screaming and wailing and gnashing of teeth and all kinds of stuff. Everybody's going to scream and holler and say, oh, you can't do that. We've never done it any other way. And sometimes I want to say, you know what? That's not a good excuse, because it really does need to be sort of looked at from the ground level with fresh eyes and sort of, have the cages rattled a bit. I think that's true about everything that's going on in Washington right now. I want this administration to rattle every cage in Washington. I want them to just, to come in and say, you know what? Government is not working for the people. Government lost sight of what it's supposed to be. Government lost sight of the fact that the people are in charge and that we hire the people who run these institutions and these agencies. And there needs to be a new understanding about who you're working for, because ultimately we are the boss and they are our employees. And I think somewhere along the lines, that got way out of whack. And I'm ready for things to sort of, I want these institutions to be a little uncomfortable. I want them to be worried. And will everything that they propose in this new administration be the perfect solution? No. But boy, there's a lot of stuff that's not working for people right now. And I think I'm ready to try something different, anything different. 50 minutes now past the hour. You know, Costco has this thing that it keeps running out of, gold bars. They just can't keep them in stock. Gold's breathtaking surge this year to repeated record highs hasn't stopped bullion from flying off the shelves, and it's not only one of the best performing commodities, it is in many cases outperforming other assets. The surge has been driven by its appeal as a safe haven asset in times of geopolitical and economic uncertainty. But you know where you can still get gold even when Costco doesn't have any? From my friends at Nashville Golden Coin. They sell the same high-quality products as Costco and other national online retailers. They will not overcharge you, and as a bonus, guess what? You'll be supporting a locally owned business. Kyle and Hannah are real experts, and you can count on top-of-the-line, personalized customer service. Nashville Golden Coin is the best place to buy gold in Middle Tennessee, and you'll be dealing with experts instead of some random store clerk with zero knowledge about precious metals. So make your appointment today with Nashville Golden Coin. Just go to NashvilleGoldenCoin.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in, and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
It doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
Right now in our nation's capital, the House Ethics Committee 2-hour meeting on the Gates allegations investigation is over. Democratic members are furious. Hear from one of them at 4 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, let me take a look at the markets. The Dow Jones Industrials are up 139 today. S&P is up less than 1. And the NASDAQ is down 23. So, again, we have a mixed board today. These numbers are brought to you by Beacon Capital Management. Learn about all the things that they can do to help you with retirement. With your retirement, just go to their website, askbeaconnow.com. It is 58 past the hour.
Four o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Looks like the coldest weather in 8 months may be moving in. That's right, a temperature drop on the way. We've got it in the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Trump transition update. Reports say the House Ethics Committee emerged from its 2-hour meeting today without an agreement reached on releasing the Matt Gaetz report, investigating allegations that Gaetz had sex with a minor. Democrat Susan Wild, the ranking member, said after learning the chairman implied there was an agreement not to disclose the findings at all, she felt she needed to speak out.
There was no consensus on this issue. We did agree that we would reconvene as a committee on December 5th to further consider this matter.
That inquiry abruptly ended last week when Gaetz resigned from Congress just hours after President-elect Trump announced that he would be nominating Gaetz for Attorney General. Now, Gaetz came under investigation in 2021 after accusations of illicit drug use and sex with a minor, but the Department of Justice ultimately did not press charges. Gaetz himself has consistently denied all wrongdoing. Right now in Middle Tennessee, we've got an active silver alert by the TBI asking you to keep an eye out for a 2017 green Subaru Forester. It has a Tennessee specialty plate, Woman Veteran 4779. This is an alert for 67-year-old Patricia Della Vega, missing from Clarksville. Last seen yesterday wearing a white T-shirt, black and gray hoodie, and blue jeans. She has a medical condition that may impair her ability to return safely without assistance. Patricia, again, may be traveling in that green Subaru Forester with the Tennessee Specialty Plate Woman Veteran 4779. If you see her or the vehicle, you're asked to call Clarksville PD or TBI at 1-800-TBI-FIND. Illegal immigrant Jose Ibarra has been sentenced to life in prison without parole for the kidnapping and murder of Georgia nursing student Laken Riley in February. Prosecutors declined to seek the death penalty for Ibarra prior to sentencing Laken's mother, Allison Phillips.
There is no end to the pain, suffering, and loss that we have experienced or will continue to endure.
Weeks after the election, the murder of Laken Riley still reverberates in the political world. Even now, after learning that Jose Antonio Ibarra has been convicted and now sentenced to life in prison without parole, President-elect Trump posted, "It is time to secure our border and remove these criminals and thugs from our country." Meanwhile, in front of a parole board in Columbia, South Carolina.
It was a case that captivated the country 30 years ago. Susan Smith claimed she had been carjacked and blamed a black man, pleading for their safe return of the two boys, but she killed them by rolling her car into a South Carolina lake with them strapped into their car seats. 3 decades later, on Wednesday, she pleaded to a parole board for freedom.
I'm sorry.
Her ex-husband asked the board to keep her locked up. The decision was quick. The parole board unanimously voted against granting Smith parole.
Alex Stone reporting, and that's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. In addition to the usual slow go this time of day, we've got a couple of crashes to tell you about. Number one, 24 eastbound at Briley Parkway, then 40 eastbound right after Fessler's Lane. Looking down here in Rutherford County, looks like multiple vehicles may have piled up. This is going to be 24 westbound right there at 840. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good afternoon. Hour number 2 of the drive now kicking off on this pretty pleasant fall day. It is 4:07 on this Wednesday, and we got all kinds of stuff going on here today, talking about the transition and things that are happening around the world. And we're going to give you a lot of good information so that you can arrive home or wherever it is you're headed as the smartest person in the room. That's right. Even smarter than that teenager who thinks they're pretty smart.
Not a smart mouth as the teenager, maybe.
You know what? When I was a teenager, I thought I was the smartest person in the room. And boy, I found out over a period of time I didn't know much. My dad used to disabuse me of that notion pretty regularly.
Consequences used to disabuse me of my decisions.
Well, for my dad, he got to the point where all you needed was like the raised eyebrow.
Yeah.
Words didn't even need to be spoken. Just sort of like he'd look at you across that, of course, it was a different time. We actually sat down to dinner every night.
Yeah.
Sat down to dinner around the table, and we talked about what went on at work and talked about what was going on, and if you got out of line, there would just be a look across the table and that just the very slight raised eyebrow, and you knew that you had stepped over the line.
Uh-oh.
Yep, that's all you needed. And sorry. Let's do this. What do you say?
Oh, boy.
Ba, 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 ba. Bum, ba, bum. Well, yes, it certainly is a woke world. Oh, they're not through. So yesterday, when the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, was asked about, well, how are you going to handle this transgender member of Congress who's been elected? Which bathroom are they going to be able to use? Well, he sort of did a little tap dance. And he said some things that sounded good, but he never really did say what he was going to do.
For anybody who doesn't know my well-established record on this issue, let me be unequivocally clear. A man is a man, and a woman is a woman. And a man cannot become a woman. That said, I also believe, that's what Scripture teaches, what I just said, but I also believe that we treat everybody with dignity. And so we can do and believe all those things at the same time. And I wanted to make that clear for everybody because there's lots of questions. But that's where I stand. I've stood there my whole life, and those are facts.
Well, okay, but what are you going to do about the bathrooms? He didn't really answer the question. It was not a profile in courage there. And he really got blasted. The Federalist, here's their headline. Speaker Mike Johnson's response to the trans bathroom fracas in Congress was cowardly. So there you go. The person who's coming in is known as Representative McBride, an incoming freshman lawmaker from Delaware who identifies as transgender. He was born a man, now identifies as a woman. But, Johnson's tried to, have it both ways. Well, we're going to show this person a lot of respect. But my personal position is, but what about the bathroom? Well, he cleared it up today. House Speaker Mike Johnson declared today, Wednesday, that women's facilities in the Capitol complex will be reserved for biological females. All single-sex facilities in the Capitol and House office buildings, such as restrooms, changing rooms, locker rooms, are reserved for individuals of that biological sex, said Johnson, not on camera, but in a written statement. It is important to note that each member office has its own private restroom, and unisex restrooms are available throughout the Capitol. Women deserve women's only space. So there you go. The Speaker later told reporters, like all House policy, it's enforceable, and contended that they're not anti-anyone. We're pro-women with this policy. The Speaker's announcement came in response to controversy as House Republican lawmaker tried to wrestle with what to do with Representative-elect Sarah McBride, who represents the first state's at-large district. Delaware only has one member of Congress at large. It was Nancy Mace who sort of made this a thing, threatened to take it up on the floor of the House, but now I don't think that will be necessary. The policy is very clear. From thehill.com, Speaker Johnson announces policy barring trans women from Capitol bathrooms. Well, that's not exactly what he said, but he said that he can't go into women's restrooms. There are unisex bathrooms, and each sitting member of Congress has a bathroom right off of their office. I mean, you got your own private bathroom. You know that some members of Congress actually sleep in their offices. They have a rollout couch or a couch that makes into a bed. They got a shower, and so they don't actually get a home. They live in their offices. It's not done a lot, but it is done some. Anyway, it looks like that matter is resolved. We will have women in women's bathroom and men in men's bathroom, and the person who is transgendered man who now identifies as a woman, Sarah McBride, can either go to a men's restroom or to the unisex bathroom, or use the bathroom in their own office. That's the way it's gonna be. So there you have that. Other woke news. We need to talk a little bit about the woke media. Remember, we had the story over the weekend that Joe Scarborough and Mika Brzezinski went to meet with Donald Trump down at Mar-a-Lago over the weekend, and came in on Monday and told everybody about it. And there was Megyn Kelly's response was classic. Do I still have that? I don't know. Yes, I know it's. I keep all my sound from the day. Yeah, here it is. Here's what Megyn Kelly said in no uncertain words about them going to see Donald Trump and trying to now play nice.
Go yourselves.
Nice, Megyn. And she didn't put too fine a point on it.
Go yourselves. Go yourselves, you dishonest jokes of faux journalists.
Yeah. So there you go with that. Well, so they try. I think Joe and Mika came out, and it's almost, I don't know, but their reading of their opening dialogue that morning, they do a little commentary early right off the bat, trying to explain why they went to meet with Donald Trump. They tried to thread the needle and make everybody, well, we're not going to back down on anything that we stand for, but we are going to reach out and talk to the incoming president. And we just decided we would do that. Listen to this. Viewership plummeted for MSNBC's Morning Joe broadcast after host Joe Scarborough and Mika Brzezinski revealed Monday that they had met with President-elect Donald Trump to, quote, restart communications. Nielsen data showed that viewing figures started to dip just 56 minutes after Scarborough and Brzezinski began to explain their trip to Trump's Mar-a-Lago residence in Florida. Between 7 a.m. and 8 a.m. on Monday, viewership had fallen 17%, from 839,000 to 694,000. Among the 25 to 50-year-old age group, viewing figures plummeted 38%. You see, the 25 to 54, that's called the demo in professional broadcast terms, the demo, and that's the one that you sell advertising on. The figures plummeted 38%. Normally, Morning Joe, which airs for 4 hours each morning, regularly builds viewers hour over hour, according to Mediaite. So a lot of people decided they did not want to support Joe and Mika anymore because they had the temerity to go meet with Donald Trump. I just quite thing. Then there's this. As long as we're talking about the woke media, on the View over on ABC. ABC's The View co-host and ABC senior legal correspondent and analyst Sunny Hostin issued a legal note after Attorney General nominee Matt Gaetz issued a statement to the network regarding allegations against him. During a discussion of the cabinet picks, Hostin said, and look, you could tell this is legal handed this to me and said, you must read this. Matt Gaetz has long denied all allegations, calling the claims invented and saying in a statement to ABC News that this false smear followed a 3-year criminal investigation and should be viewed with great skepticism. The DOJ investigation was closed with no charges being brought. It looked as if, she was sucking on lemons as she said it. Because what happens in a situation like that is you get a hot note from the person, and then it goes to legal, and legal says, yeah, we have some exposure here. You better straighten up and clear this up and report it fairly. And so she got ordered to read that. That's the way that goes. And then here's this from Fox News, sort of blowing their own horn. Fox News Channel makes history as MSNBC and CNN continue to implode since Election Day. MSNBC posts the lowest rated week in over 25 years. Fox News snags 72% of primetime cable news audience. Fox News Channel commanded its highest share of the cable news audience in network history last week as CNN and MSNBC continue to hemorrhage viewers since Election Day. Fox News finished the week November 11th through 17th with the highest share of the cable news audience among total day in the network's 28-year history across multiple categories. As Fox News makes history, MSNBC posted its lowest rated week in over 25 years in key categories as viewers continued to flee the network on the heels of President-elect Donald Trump's victory over Vice President Kamala Harris. Fox News Channel averaged 1.9 million total viewers during the week of November 11th, finishing as the only cable option to crack 1 million. Used to be when I was over at Fox and we were just coming up. I mean, I was there from year 2 through 12, 2 through 14. And it was just, there were a lot of places that when I first came on board, they didn't have Fox News. It got better as we went along and clearly became a powerhouse over time. But Fox News Channel averaged 1.9 million viewers during the week of November 11th, finishing as the only cable option to crack 1 million viewers benchmark. ESPN finished second. We used to always get killed by ESPN. 837,000 total viewers. And the Hallmark Channel, the Hallmark Channel is back already at my house. Way too soon. Way too soon. But it finished third. So it's Fox News, ESPN, and the Hallmark Channel. That's what people are watching right now. MSNBC settled for fourth with 487,000 total viewers, despite the historic news cycle, while CNN managed only, this is pathetic, 337,000 average viewers, total viewers to finish fifth among cable networks. 337,000 people in a country of what? 330 million? Man, that is, how CNN has fallen by the wayside. MSNBC apparently up for sale, we hear. And CNN laying off hundreds of people, whereas the Fox News Channel continues to thrive. Fox finished with a 69% share of total day cable news viewers for the week. 69%. That's astonishing. 21 past the hour. King and Associates Insurance in Brentwood has been in business for over 25 years here in our area, and an independent agency is what they are, and that's what you want. An independent agency doesn't just take the one thing they have on the shelf and say, here. No, they will shop around. They'll look at a bunch of different policies and find that one that really just meets your need. It's not like they're going to just take a square peg and try to shove it in a round hole. They're going to find something that really meets your needs. And what you get then is more bang for your insurance buck. And that's what you want, right? The best insurance you can get for the least amount of money. That's the goal. And if you call this number, 615-329-8121, you won't reach a call center. You'll talk to an actual live human being who will answer your questions or find the person who can answer your questions, but you won't be getting a recording, that's for sure. Multi-policy discounts, 20, 25, 30, 35%. Huge savings are possible. So get your royal review with King & Associates Insurance. Log on to tkinginsurance.com. That's tkinginsurance.com. King Insurance & Associates. You'll get royal treatment and great rates.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
It doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
Two-hour Gates investigation report meeting today and a follow-up to yesterday's fatal shooting at the WeGo bus station downtown as students were headed home from school. These stories in the day's closing money news at 4:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It is 26 minutes now past the hour of 4 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. I'm Brian Wilson and in the house. And, now that we're through the election, the people who look at how accurate the pollsters are have done their analyses. And we have a sort of a readout on how some of the pollsters did. Let's start with the general election numbers. National poll, general election, popular vote. I often told you about Atlas Intel. Atlas Intel had the reputation of being in the last election cycle the most accurate. They missed it by only 0.7. Tip poll missed it by 0.7. NBC News missed it by 0.7. Forbes Harris X missed it by 0.7. New York Times Siena poll missed it by 0.7. So all of those were well within the margin of errors. The Wall Street Journal had the best number on the general election. They missed it only by 0.3. They were over by 0.3. So there were a lot of polls that really, got it pretty close to being right. Not exactly right. Nobody got it exactly right, but they never do. But well within the margin of error. Again, you say, okay, well, what about those polls that were wrong? Yes, there were a lot of polls that were wrong, but having done this for a while, when I talked to you about polls, I didn't bring those to you because I knew that they had a history of not being very accurate. A Marist poll, for example, missed it big time, missed it by about 4.5 points. But if I ever brought you a Marist poll, I always said this one skews left. So, of the polls that I would go to most often, I really do like the Atlas Intel poll. I like the Wall Street Journal poll, and that was the most accurate. I like, generally, even though it's the New York Times, their polling has been pretty accurate in the past, and they all got it pretty close. Everybody said, well, you can't trust the polls. Well, these polls were pretty much on. What about the battleground states? I don't have time to go through all of them, but I chose 3. I took Georgia, Pennsylvania, and Arizona. The Georgia polls, a number of polls missed it by 0.8, less than 1 point. The Rasmussen report poll, which I like, I've always liked that poll, and the Q poll, sometimes I take it, sometimes I don't, they were over by 0.2. So one was at 0.8 low, a number of them were 0.8 low, and a couple of them were just 0.2 over. So again, well within the margin of error. Pennsylvania, Atlas Intel was over by 0.2. Trafalgar, which is a poll that I often quote, was under by 0.5. Arizona, Atlas Intel missed it by 0.1. So here you have, a lot of polls that pretty much got it right. Were there polls that missed it big time? Yeah. But you know what? There's a bunch of Democrat polls that always tend to skew left, and I just didn't bring them to you. So everybody has their opinion about polls. It has been the topic of some tense discussions here on the station from time to time. But what I will say to you is that this time around, the polls that I like pretty much got it right. Now we have to talk about Iowa and that Des Moines Register poll, which came out at the last few moments, that said in Iowa, where Trump was expected to do well, they had Harris winning it by 3 at the very last moment. And what did I tell you about that poll? I said, this doesn't feel right to me. This seems like it's a miss. It's some kind of mistake. They missed it by 16 points. But there was another poll that came out at about the same time, which got it pretty close to right. They were within. They said that Trump was going to win it by 10. Ultimately, he won it by 13. So not a perfect score, but in Iowa, but there was one that was a lot closer than the Des Moines Register poll. Ann Seltzer pretty much has been fired for missing that poll. She had a history of getting it right for a lot of years, but she sure screwed that one up in a big way. So there it is. Take it or leave it. Choose to ignore the polls or don't. And again, remember, whenever I bring you poll data, I have sort of separated the wheat from the chaff before I ever bring it to you. I don't bring you all the polls. I just bring you the ones that I think have a history of being more accurate. This time, a lot of them got it pretty close to right. 31 past the hour.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Some of the coldest air we've had in 8 months may be closing in. We'll tell you about it. Full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. They're going to reconvene on December 5th at our nation's capital. The House Ethics Committee, as of today, not releasing the report detailing an investigation into former Congressman Matt Gaetz, who resigned from the House last week upon his nomination to be the next Attorney General. And there is an increased police presence after Tuesday's fatal shooting at the downtown Wego bus station as students were heading home from school. Channel 4's Brandon Tierney says the shooter went to McGavock High School. The 16-year-old victim went to Johnson Alternative Center.
Passengers we talked with say they were shocked that this happened.
We have violence and issue go on everywhere, from here to south, east to west. So more security would help. To be honest, more security would help, but at the same token, you still got issues that go on that's out of our hands.
Metro police say WeGo security guards witnessed the fight and shooting. WeGo already has extra patrols during the morning and evening rushes, trying to prevent things like this. A WeGo spokesperson sent me a statement this afternoon saying they strive for complete safety and security and are working closely with police going forward.
Money News, Dave Pecker.
Markets were mixed in another roller coaster day on Wall Street. The Dow Jones Industrial Average gained almost 140 points in late trading, boosted by expected earnings results from tech leader NVIDIA. The S&P 500 was even at the end of trading, and the Nasdaq Composite sank 21 points. Target lost more than a fifth of its value after a dim forecast for the holiday shopping season. Comcast announced it will spin off many of its cable television outlets as more TV viewers move from cable TV to streaming services. Networks to be let go include USA, Oxygen, CNBC, and MSNBC. Peacock and Bravo, which provide a large share of content for Peacock streaming, will remain. Ford announced it will cut over 4,000 jobs in Europe and the UK by the end of 2027. The automaker blaming increased competition and weak sales of electric cars. Ford said most of the job cuts would come in Germany, where it will also reduce hours for workers at the plant that makes the Capri and Explorer electric vehicles.
That's the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. It is bumper to bumper, stop and go pretty much anywhere around the loop downtown, and then that extends east and westbound 440 between 24 and the West End, east and westbound 40, West Nashville over to 24. Getting the same when you head north on 24 toward Jolton, and then 65 to go to Goodlettsville or Hendersonville. Northbound 65 there is stop and go. Looking over here, we've got a crash reported in the Gulch. This is going to be 40 eastbound at Broadway. Police reporting that. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Grace Point Healthcare provides affordable, convenient, and comprehensive medicine the old-fashioned way, which is that's exactly what you want, right? They are well known for their basic Smart Care plan, which starts at $69 a month and includes free office visits and free basic labs and diagnostic tests. At Grace Point, you are usually seen the same day or the next day, and there will be no long wait times in the waiting room, and you got to love that. Grace Point is your primary provider that treats the entire family from newborns to seniors. Now, fall allergy season is here. Don't we know it? Don't suffer through another seasonal change. Get complete testing and treatment and enjoy the beauty of fall this year. Did you know that Grace Point is a military veteran-owned practice? It's located in the heart of Franklin, and here's the number to call to schedule your next medical appointment. 615-599-6868. That's easy to remember. 599-6868. Grace Point Healthcare. Modern medicine delivered the old-fashioned way.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in, and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spice and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
It is 39 minutes now past the hour of 4 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. As long as we're doing sort of a deconstruct looking back at the last election, there are some interesting things that the statisticians are now drawing now that we have actual numbers instead of projected numbers, right? You get the numbers. Everybody wants to find out, well, what did we do right? I mean, this is any good organization, whether it's a political campaign or a business. When things go well, you should do an after-action report to try to identify what worked, right? And if things go badly, you should do an after-action report to figure out what went wrong. This is the way you get better. I was at Fox News. I was a part of several after-action reports on stories that we covered. What went right? What went wrong? What could we have done better? What did we learn from this? What can we do to, make it go smoother next time? And they were very valuable sessions, not ugly, finger-pointing sessions. Just like here's what we did right and here's what we did wrong. And I think it's a very valuable process to go through. And so campaigns are now looking, and all the statisticians are looking at, well, what did Republicans do right? Where did they win big? Where did they have the most impact? So much talk about the battleground states, Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. And they spent about, that's 14% of the country, but it got the biggest attention because you needed to win those to win the what do you call it? The stupid electoral college vote. You needed those votes there. So that's why they spent so much money and attention there. But the 7 battlegrounds did not even feature in the top 10 pro-Trump swings nationwide, which you'll be surprised. You'll be really surprised where Trump saw the most improvement. And if I can turn the page here, I'll tell you what they are. Here we go. This from Woke Spy. The biggest swings toward Trump by state, number 1, New York City. It swung 11.5% from a previous Trump election. So he did 11.5% better in New York. Now, he didn't win New York, New Jersey, 10.1. You kept wondering why they kept saying, we might be able to do something in New Jersey. We might be able to do something in New York. It's because, I'm telling you, they were seeing something. And at the end of the day, when the votes were counted, he improved his standing in New York by 11.5% and in New Jersey by 10%. Florida, already a pretty reliably red state these days, he improved his position in Florida by nearly 10%, 9.8%. In Massachusetts, of all places, he improved his position by 8.7%. California by 8.4%. He didn't win, California or Massachusetts, but he did so much better. Texas, he improved his position by 8.3%. In Mississippi, probably one of the reddest of all the red states, there probably aren't 10 Democrats left in the entire dadgum state because he improved his position by 7.7% in Mississippi. Rhode Island, 7%. You ready for this one? Tennessee, number 9. Improved his position in Tennessee by 6.5%. And number 10, Illinois. He improved his position in Illinois by 6.4%. In fact, I heard an interesting story that apparently he got 94% of the vote in one precinct, the Cook County Jail. Apparently, they decided they're going to go all in on Trump at the Cook County Jail. So he did really well. And so now what you do, if you're smart, if you're the RNC, what you do now is you go back and you try to build upon what you've already done in these particular, identify what it was that worked in New York, what worked in New Jersey, what worked in Massachusetts, what worked in California, and then build upon that. Some of these are not a surprise, but I got to tell you, I think that's really quite something. And then so much is being said about the disaster that was the Democrat campaign. I heard there was a lot of talk about how, there was right after the elections, Kamala Harris spent $1 billion and lost the election. It's not true. She spent $1.5 billion. That's right. They've done a re-examination of her spending, and it was $1.5 billion spent in 15 weeks. Kamala Harris's insane campaign spending exposed. This from Blaze, theblaze.com. Kamala Harris's campaign took a nosedive toward the end, and upon closer look, her wasteful spending may have played a major role, as the vice president reportedly burned through $1.5 billion in just 15 weeks. She was able to spend $1.5 billion in 15 weeks with no assets. Really impressive. Said Stu Bergier of Stu Does America. Her cash-rich campaign spared no expense as it hunted for voters, paying for an avalanche of advertising, social media influencers, a for-hire door-knocking operation, thousands of staff, pricey rallies, a splashy Oprah town hall meeting, celebrity concerts, and even drone shows. Shane Goldmacher wrote in an article for the New York Times, added, it was a spree that averaged roughly $100 million per week. That's a ton of money. Harris' campaign's biggest expense was advertising, spending most of a whopping $600 million on producing and buying media. $2.5 million was directed toward 3 digital agencies that specialize in working with online influencers. Harris's Oprah town hall cost the campaign close. Are you ready for this? This number has gone up as well. That whole thing, her town hall, cost her campaign close to $2.5 million, which Oprah attempted to explain away through the cost of setup. Oprah does have a bit of an argument here, says The Blaze. First of all, she wasn't just taking $1 million herself. It was going to the production company, but these events do cost a lot of money. You could say, okay, well, shouldn't she have just given that to her for free if she supported Kamala so much? You'd think so, but because of what Democrats want from campaign finance reform, there are campaign finance laws that said you can't basically donate a bunch of free stuff and say it's not a donation. However, there is one problem. In their own attempt at a defense here, they seemingly reveal a crime, though, because they say the $1 million undercounts the cost of the event, the full cost, which ran closer to $2.5 million. So if the bookkeeping say it's $1 million, but it's actually $2.5 million, Oprah ate the $1.5 million. That's actually campaign finance violation. It's a crime. So in their attempt to try to win the press war, they may have actually committed a crime, some people say. So that's interesting. And here's the thing, I think, when all is said and done and people write the history of this last campaign, which really is one that I think the historians are going to be studying for a very, very long time. I think one of the things that they're going to write is that this is the one where paid media became useless. I mean, Donald Trump, sure enough, he paid for some advertising, don't get me wrong, especially in the battleground states. He played that game, but not to the extent that Kamala Harris did. You know where the Trump people bested them? In things that didn't cost them a red cent. Going on the Joe Rogan program, going on some of the podcast programs, showing up for lengthy interviews with anybody who would sit down with him, even those people who he disagreed with. He did that. He never passed up many opportunities to go somewhere and speak, and it didn't cost him a penny to do. Well, it cost him, I guess, he had to fly there sometimes, but really, when you talk about, that compared to how much you were spending on advertising, it's a drop in the bucket. He got free media. And at the end of the day, the regular advertising on TV becomes so overwhelming. I mean, if you lived in one of these battleground states, you were seeing an ad every second that they had available. Any commercial break was going to be nothing but political ads, and a lot of them were going to be from Kamala Harris in those battleground states. After a while, they lose their effectiveness. You hear them so much, they just wash over you and don't really have any impact. But you go and do a podcast with Joe Rogan and get, 100 million views? And it didn't cost you a penny. Kamala Harris wouldn't go on Joe Rogan. Refused to do it because she was so afraid of having to speak contemporaneously for 3 hours. And Joe Rogan wasn't having any of this nonsense where there were things that were off limits you can't talk about. Was Trump perfect in all those interviews? No. I mean, there were the things that caused him headaches. Yeah, some. But nonetheless, overall, the grand scheme of things, it really worked for him. And so the idea that they spent $1.5 billion, $100 million a week for 15 consecutive weeks, and that they came up short, tells you that in the next campaign, it's going to be looked at a lot differently. That kind of money will not be spent on paid advertising. I don't think. I think you're going to be looking at people who are, the podcasters and the people who are reaching young people. And, maybe there'll be more digital stuff where it pops up on your phone or on your computer. But it seems like to me the day of advertising on a television show and a local network affiliate, that didn't really have a lot of impact. Or if it did, it didn't have enough impact because, she lost and really, really squandered a tremendous amount of money with nothing to show for it at the end of the day. 50 minutes now past the hour of 4 o'clock. All right, so, it's football season. Maybe you got a big tailgating event coming up and you want to have some good flavors on your steaks. Well, none is better than the flavors you get at Legend Steakhouse. And if you like the flavor over there, guess what? You can have it on your tailgate party. Just walk down your local grocery store aisles, places like Walmart and Kroger, and look for Johnny Fleeman's very own brand. Johnny Fleeman's Marinade proprietary blend will give your steaks, chicken, and chops a flavor that will hit a home run with family and friends. It's low in sodium, about a third of the other brands, so you don't have to worry about over-marinating. And don't forget his honey mustard salad dressing. I'm telling you, good stuff. Use it as salad dressing, of course, or a dipping sauce for your favorite chicken fingers, fresh-cut veggies, or chips. A recipe used in his restaurant for over 35 years. And if your favorite grocer isn't stocking Johnny Fleeman products, well, then they need to fix that. just go to johnnyfleeman.com for more information and ask them to look into that as well. And it goes without saying, for those times when you want someone else to do the cooking, they'll always be glad to see you at your nearest Legend Steakhouse for lunch or dinner.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in, and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
We'll tell you what came of that House Ethics Committee meeting today on the Gates investigation at 5 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
And speaking of Matt Gaetz, he was on Capitol Hill today making the rounds with the Vice President-elect, J.D. Vance. I'll tell you how that all went. And one of the first stops was to see Marsha Blackburn. And she has a pretty positive feeling about things. We'll tell you all about that coming up in the next hour right here on The Drive.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
It is 5 o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories and the lowest temperatures of the season moving in. Full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Well, in our nation's capital, they're going to reconvene December 5th. The House Ethics Committee, as of today, not releasing the report detailing their investigation into former Congressman Matt Gaetz, who resigned from the House last week upon his nomination to be the next Attorney General. ABC's Jay O'Brien tells us what happened today.
There's an equal number of Republicans to Democrats on this committee, 5-5. And we know that going into these proceedings, Democrats on the committee said they wanted to force a vote to release this report, the product of months of investigations into Matt Gaetz and allegations of sex with a minor. And from what we're learning, from what transpired behind those closed doors, it looks like that did not happen, and there was no vote that resulted in this report being released today.
An emotional day in a Georgia courtroom today as the family of Laken Riley, the 22-year-old nursing student killed while on a run at the University of Georgia's campus, called for the judge to lock up her killer, illegal immigrant Jose Ibarra, for the rest of his life. This is Laken's mother, Allison Phillips.
Your Honor, I'm asking you to please give Jose Ibarra the same thing he gave us when he made the choice to take Laken's life and destroy ours. He showed no mercy on Laken when she was begging for her life.
Prosecutors did not ask for the death penalty, but the judge, listening to the Laken's family, rendered a life sentence without parole for Ibarra. And President-elect Trump weighing in on Truth Social in all caps. Justice for Laken Riley. It is time to secure our border and remove these criminals and thugs from our country so nothing like this can happen again. It was a case that captivated the nation 30 years ago when a mother killed her own children by driving her car into a lake, then tried to blame it on a black man who she said had carjacked her. But there was no carjacking. Today, Susan Smith tried for parole, as we hear from Alex Stone.
I want to say how very sorry I am.
30 years after drowning her two sons by rolling her car into a South Carolina lake while they were strapped into their car seats, Susan Smith pleaded with a parole board to let her out of prison.
I know I made a lot of mistakes.
Her ex-husband and the boy's father told the parole board Smith purposely ended their lives.
I miss him very much.
Moments later, in a quick vote, the parole board unanimously denied Smith her freedom.
The vote is unanimous.
Here in Tennessee, Channel 4 says a new report from the state comptroller says $10 billion is needed over the next 5 years for upgrades to school facilities across the state. A majority of K through 12 schools are in good or excellent condition, but 57% of counties have schools that need infrastructure upgrades. There is also a need for more public schools, with the bulk of spending coming from local governments, taxes, and bonds. Right now, Tennessee ranks 45th in the country in per-student funding. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Well, a good bit of the loop downtown is bumper to bumper, especially eastbound East Loop and then the eastbound South Loop. I mean, it is bumper to bumper. Then eastbound 440 all the way from 40 over to 24 is bumper to bumper. Northbound 65, you got that brake tapping up to 440 and also up to the South Loop. In addition to the usual slowdowns, we've got a multi-vehicle crash now reported. This is going to be southbound Briley Parkway right there at I-40 near the airport. And then looking here, eastbound 24, right before Harding Place, you got a disabled vehicle blocking the eastbound left shoulder. Traffic every 10 minutes, every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good evening, everyone. It is 7 minutes past the hour of 5 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. I'm Brian Wilson, your friend and radio buddy, coming to you live and direct from my home studio in bucolic Watertown. And the stately Wilson Manor looking very festive already. I went out and looked at Christmas lights are on. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Getting an early jump on it, huh?
Yeah, Cabana Wife told me this year that I just needed to get over my thing about, not liking to see Christmas decorations go up until at least the Friday after Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that was always sort of, okay. Oh, and if you want to put the lights up, the Friday after Thanksgiving, okay. But she told me, nope, we're going to be putting them up early. And, I'm not, but she's not alone. I mean, I was driving down Highway 70 going to Lebanon. Boy, the people already got their Christmas decorations up. And
yeah, I drive past several homes on the way to my house. Got the yard full of blow-ups and lights all over the house. Yeah, people are doing it earlier.
I got that whole blow-up thing out of my system. With the epic failing of my, what is it, a 27-foot Christmas tree, inflatable Christmas tree?
Yeah.
That was a struggle. Boy, I mean, that was more work than I thought it was. First of all, I need about 12 people to put it up.
Uh-huh.
And then the first time a big wind comes along, it'll gash a hole in it, and then the whole thing is lost.
Yeah.
And so I'm not doing any more blow-ups. Well, I mean, I think there'll be a couple of small, little, what do you call them? Soldiers, nutcrackers.
Yeah, nutcrackers,
Yeah. There'll be a couple of small ones because Cabana Wife really likes them. But no more big ones. I used to go down to the beach in Florida, and there was a little town along the way. I forget which one it was. And there was a tractor supply thing, or a tractor. They sold John Deere tractors. And they had a gigantic Santa Claus. I mean, this thing was at least 30 feet tall.
Wow.
And it was industrial grade inflatable Santa Claus. I mean, that thing wasn't going to get a hole punched in it. It was going to last forever. And I thought, now if I could find one of those, but I bet you that thing cost them $10,000-$15,000.
Yeah, it probably did.
Yeah, I mean, it was substantial, and so I'm past it. I'm over.
All right, I'm going to hold you to that, but we'll see. Something new comes along, and you'll be right there.
Yeah,
all over it.
The elf will be over my shoulder before long.
Oh yeah, Buddy
the elf will be over my shoulder here in the studio. That's always an important part of the Christmas tradition here, is to make sure there's a tree here in the studio and Buddy the elf. I think this year we're talking 16 trees.
Wow.
I know, it's insane.
It's a lot of trees.
It's insane. It's a lot of trees. And that's why she wanted to start early. I know. I said, well, honey, you wouldn't have to start so early if you didn't do 16 trees. Wouldn't 12 be a good round number? No. She's adding two.
Wow.
She loves Christmas. And I will say, it really is. You've been to my house.
Oh, yeah.
It's
great.
beautiful. She has a real touch for that kind of stuff. So.
Absolutely.
Yep. So anyway, the Christmas lights went up today. I do not climb ladders anymore. So we hire a guy to come out and do that. And he was there today.
It's the Stunt Brian.
Yeah. The guy's real good. He puts them up in a hurry. I mean, I think he was only here about 3 hours and he put them all up. But
wow.
I'm telling you, we're well on our way. Christmas wreaths are on the windows, and the Christmas lights are on the house, and trees are starting to go up.
Look at you, pushing the season. You never thought you'd do that, huh?
I know. And it's so beyond me. This is I used to hate it, but I guess I'm just going to have to get over it. So we should have that conversation. When is the proper time to have Christmas music? When is the proper time to have your Christmas trees go up? When is the proper time? I think most people think it is after Thanksgiving.
It's whenever the wife says.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah. It's whenever you get told to put the stuff up. That's when it's time.
Yeah.
Not going to have that fight.
We barely got the skeleton down, and already we're putting up Christmas trees.
You should have just left him up and put a Santa back.
Well,
over his back.
Can I just tell you that believe it or not, there is on Facebook, there's a group that I follow. And the things that people do with Skelly, the 12-foot tall skeletons you get down at Lowe's or Home Depot or someplace, yeah, they're very popular, and they have quite a following, and people do they transition the skeleton into like a turkey. Like I saw one where Skeletor is holding a gigantic turkey drum.
Yeah, nice.
And then I see some that are dressed up like Santa Claus.
Yeah, I got the Santa suit on.
Yeah. And so people, people say, well, you're not going to take him down. We'll just incorporate him.
Yeah.
Into the Christmas decorations. I don't know what we would have done in that regard, but it's starting to happen this weekend, big time. I mean, the trees are going up. Then last night she was hurriedly trying to wrap up all of the wreaths so that the little twinkly lights would be on them.
You can't have wreaths without twinkly lights.
You can't have a wreath without a twinkly light.
No, sir.
No. So, anyway, got to get it all done. Got to throw the big Christmas party on the 14th. So, all right, let's see what we got going on here. Let's talk a little bit about this whole process right now that we have going on with the transition and the appointees. Of course, the one that is drawing the most heat is the appointment of Donald Trump, of Matt Gaetz, Congressman from Florida, as his attorney general. Marsha Blackburn was among those who met with him today. He was escorted around the Senate, meeting with various senators. This is what you do. You get the nomination, then you got to go meet the senators who are on the committee, right? And then you got to start going to see people who are going to have to vote for you on the floor. And he was escorted around by none other than the incoming vice president, J.D. Vance. That was his handler today. And Marsha Blackburn was one of the first people that had the visit with Matt Gaetz and said she's on board.
When I met with Matt Gaetz and Vice President-elect Vance today, I asked Matt what his expectation was, and he wants to be able to have a hearing. He says he will answer any question that anyone asks him, and we have to keep in mind, President Trump has a mandate from the American people, and he has pushed forward with nominees for these positions that will help him to carry out that mandate. I'm going to support each of these nominees, and Matt wants to have a hearing, and he wants the opportunity to answer all of those questions. And I will add, I asked him what he would do if he were to be confirmed as Attorney General for the United States, and he was very specific. Dealing with the weaponization of the DOJ is at the top of the list. Dealing with the illegal immigration and the border security issues. Dealing with fentanyl. All of these are items on his to-do list. The members of the Senate that I've spoken with think that advice and consent is vitally important, and they're looking forward to the hearings. They do recognize that President Trump has a mandate, and it is going to be up to us to support him so that he has the people to carry out that mandate. He has made some great choices. So here's the thing that we're not going to put up with. It is constantly trying to block and to stall and to prohibit people from being able to go through a hearing and go through a confirmation process. And I think that Chuck Schumer and the Democrats have a choice. They can work with us to go through these committee hearings in the manner that they're supposed to take place and move these individuals to a floor, the Senate floor, for a vote, or then President Trump has the ability to use recess appointment. President Obama had 32 recess appointments that he exercised. And there are many people that say, well, President Trump could do 32, 33, and I think that would be a good thing if he needs to do that. And this is why it is going to be so important that the Democrats come to the table, that they allow these hearings to take place. The American people have spoken. They want to see President Trump's nominees put into place in order for him to carry out the mandate. I'm looking forward to Matt Gaetz coming to committee and answering the questions of the committee members. I'm certain he's going to be willing to do that. We had a great meeting today, and I look forward to welcoming him to the Judiciary Committee, and I look forward to supporting President Trump as we move forward in this process.
And so then the real question is, what about the other senator from the state of Tennessee, Bill Haggerty, seen yesterday with Donald Trump? Apparently got on the plane in Florida, flew all the way down to Boca Chica, Texas, where they watched the launch of the Starship, Elon Musk's big rocket. He was there with the president, seen there in the background. He's been talked about as a potential candidate for the Secretary of the Treasury. He served, as you know, as Japan's ambassador during the first Trump administration. Clearly, I got to tell you, as an old political reporter, when you see the president-elect and your senator, it catches your attention because you know that Haggerty apparently is still very close to Donald Trump. One I sense, look, he's never said exactly in these words, but I sense in Senator Haggerty a man who got into the United States Senate and realized that it is just, so frustrating to try to get things accomplished, that the place moves so slow. He comes from the world of business, and in business world, I mean, it works. It operates at warp speed compared to the way of politics and certainly of the way of the United States Senate. And I think it's frustrating to him, and I think he would be interested in going to work for the Trump administration as Secretary of Treasury or some other position. A lot of the other positions that his name has come up with have already been filled, and there's still a lot more to go, but they have not filled Secretary of Treasury. One wonders, is he going to be the guy that Trump taps? And then the question would then be, okay, well, if Trump does that, then Bill Lee, the governor, will have to appoint someone to take his place in the United States Senate. And who might that be? And it'll set off a lot of interesting Tennessee political discussions about, okay, so, maybe let's say, for example, a state representative or a mayor from a major county gets that nod, then then that position has to be filled. I mean, it sends off a round robin of things. So we'll be watching to see if that happens, and then what is the play by Bill Lee, and then what does that mean for politics in the state writ large, and we'll be all over that. I promise you, if it happens. Now, what is this thing that everybody's talking about? Because I sometimes when we do the phone your FARB Thursday or Friday, whichever it turns out to be, people say, I need you to explain things to me, and they like it when I explain things, and so you may have heard this term, recess appointment. What is a recess appointment? I'll tell you all about them coming up right after we take this break, 20 minutes past the hour. No pills or spinal creams will do the trick. I mean, if you have pain in your back, you know what that is? That's pressure on your nerves in most cases, and you have a couple of choices. Surgery or non-invasive spinal decompression, because there are no pills or spinal creams that get the magic done. You got to do the other things in most cases. So listen, what I did is I chose non-surgical spinal decompression at the Wellness Institute of Nashville. They have state-of-the-art facilities and the latest in high-tech equipment, and they offer the latest non-surgical procedures. Because getting better is so important to Dr. Kevin Mitchell and Dr. Ashley, they're offering half off the spinal decompression treatment and half off the KT knee machine, and which is sort of like spinal decompression, but it's aimed at the knee. If you're a new patient, you get an exam, a consultation, your first treatment, it only costs you $23. $23. Then remember, half off the spinal decompression treatments. I'm Brian Wilson, and I put my stamp of approval on the Wellness Institute of Nashville. Call them today at 615-246-5009. Learn more at painisbad.com.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
An urgent warning. If you have an iPhone, iPad, or Mac, I've got it for you at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I want President Trump to consider if it's possible to recess appoint a National Labor Relations Board member or a CFPB member or some of these hyper-partisan recess appointments that Obama did. Let's just best them by at least one, but not for a cabinet-level position. That should be absolutely off the table.
That's Senator Tom Tillis of North Carolina saying that he thinks in some cases a recess appointment might be okay if you can't get an up or down vote in the United States Senate or if the Democrats drag their feet on some of these nominations. But what is a recess appointment? People want to know. Well, let me see if I can sort of explain it to you. First of all, you know, there are some 4,000 administrative positions that need filling when a new administration comes in. 4,000. 1,200 of them require Senate confirmation, according to the Partnership for Public Service, a nonprofit that assists with presidential transitions. Well, we have John Thune saying that, well, all options are on the table. If we need to do these recess appointments, we will do them. Well, so how does this all work? Well, Article 2 of the U.S. Constitution sets out the Senate's advice and consent power, gives it the authority to confirm or reject presidential appointments for cabinet positions, ambassadorships, Supreme Court judges, and other officers of the United States. That process starts when the Senate executive clerk refers a nominee to the relevant committee for consideration. Those comments will delve into the appointee's background and hold hearings to assess his or her qualifications. Members then vote on how to report the nomination to the full chamber. You can do several things. You can go favorably, unfavorably, take no action, or without recommendation. Now, the full Senate will hold additional confirmation hearings and then vote on the nominee's fitness for office with a simple majority required for approval. Historically, did you know this? This is really very surprising. Only 9 cabinet nominations have been rejected by the United States Senate in all of the American history. President John Tyler holds the record for most rejected nominations. 4 of them were rejected. And you have to go a long way to find the last one. It was 1989. President George H.W. Bush, appointment of a Texas senator by the name of John Tower as his defense secretary. It got derailed by allegations of excessive drinking and sexual misconduct. I covered that. I remember it. It was one of my first time I'd ever covered a big confirmation battle. 1989, John Tower. So there's that. It happens several times. A lot of times what happens is they just withdraw the name. And if they can't get them confirmed, they will say, well, then he withdraws his name from consideration and you got to do the whole process over again. That happened several times under Trump's previous administration. In February of 2017, his Secretary of Labor nominee, Andrew Putzer, withdrew his name. Another notable example was Dr. Ronnie Jackson, nomination to be the White House position. He wanted to be the Secretary of Veterans Affairs. Jackson denied allegations of workplace misconduct, but eventually withdrew his name, and they went on. Now, rejections and withdrawals are rare. It's not uncommon for senators to use various legislative tactics to slow the confirmation process. Democrats have done this before. So have Republicans. Senator Tommy Tuberville used legislative holds to block the chamber's expeditious consideration of President Joe Biden's Defense Department nominees. And then he blocked hundreds of military promotions in protest of the department's decision to cover the travel expenses of service members seeking abortions. He did drop most of his holds when Majority Leader Chuck Schumer indicated he was preparing to bypass them and confirm hundreds of appointments at one time. So what are recess appointments? Well, it comes from the same article of the Constitution that bestows the Senate with its advice and consent power. It allows the president to fill vacancies while the chamber is in recess. The drawback is that a recess appointment can only serve until the end of the Senate's next session. That means at most a recess appointee could serve for close to 2 years. Then you'd have to renominate and go through the process again. This all goes back to the date when Congress was, sometimes out for months at a time, back in the earlier days. But they can do it. But they have to be out for 10 days before you can make a recess appointment. And that's where the House could be technically brought in, because one chamber cannot recess for more than 3 days without the other's consent. Did you know that? So the Senate could say, we're going to recess for 10 days, but the House would have to go along. But the House is controlled by Republicans, so that could probably be arranged. And then that person would come back and they would be able to serve for the rest of that term. So Obama did it. Bill Clinton did 139 recess appointments. George W. Bush did 171. So it's not unheard of. 31 minutes past the hour.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. The coldest air of the season moving in. We'll tell you about it during the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. But right now, we've got an urgent warning If you have an iPhone, iPad, or Mac product by Apple, experts say you should update them immediately because of a security flaw. ABC's Alex Stone with the details.
It's a security flaw in Apple iPhones, iPads, and Macs that Apple says may have been actively exploited. Cybersecurity experts are saying you should immediately download the latest security update in the settings on any Apple devices that you own. The flaw was uncovered by Google's threat analysis group, which focuses on countering targeted and government-backed hacking.
Well, they'll reconvene on December 5th. The House Ethics Committee, as of today, in our nation's capital, not releasing the report detailing their investigation into former Congressman Matt Gaetz, who resigned from the House last week upon his nomination to be the next Attorney General. And the family of Laken Riley telling the judge who found the illegal immigrant, Jose Ibarra, accused of murdering her, guilty, asked the judge to show no mercy.
This sick, twisted, and evil coward showed no regard for Laken or human life. We are asking that same be done to him.
Judge H. Patrick Haggard.
Count 1, malice murder. I sentence you to life without the possibility of parole.
Right now in Nashville, Metro Police Chief John Drake has signed the Memorandum of Understanding with the Community Review Board that will offer up recommendations after reviewing citizen complaints about alleged police misconduct. Channel 4's Danielle Ledbetter reports it's been a negotiation for months.
People can submit a complaint of alleged police misconduct to the board, and they review it. To fully review a case, the board says they need records and footage from MNPD.
Before this MOU agreement, it was taking months on top of months to get basic body-worn camera footage.
But now their requests will be prioritized instead of being lumped in with the general public.
We've made some agreements on what we asked for and how we asked for it, and then if we at least get that part, and then if we need something additional, we'll get that. So, and it'll also be prioritized.
And help give people more options.
That is the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, it is really backed up around the loop downtown, especially if you are eastbound 40 from the West End all the way over to 24. Then we've got 440 going both east and westbound. The heaviest is going to be westbound up to 40 and then eastbound over to 24. Eastbound 24 brake tapping from the East Loop all the way down to Laverne. Now, a little extracurricular activity. I'm looking over here on the West End. I-40 westbound got several vehicles that have piled up. The exit ramp, right lane, and right shoulder are blocked right there past the 440 interchange. And then a multi-vehicle crash affecting 24 westbound just this side of Laverne. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
You know, the political environment has many people wondering, will their investments be affected? Is it time to make an adjustment? Our money investments for retirement? Well, you're not alone if you're having those thoughts. There are steps you can take now to be better positioned regardless of what happens. You deserve the confidence to know that no matter what's going on in the economy, you have a plan that helps keep your financial goals in line with your life's priorities. If you're in or nearing retirement, Beacon Capital Management has a free, absolutely free, retirement-ready toolkit just for you. You'll get a Money Enough for Life book, a retirement planning checklist, and a Maximizing Your Retirement Income white paper. No cost, no obligation, no pressure. Just call this number, 615-488-9303, to get your free retirement-ready toolkit. That number again, 615-488-9303.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
Hey, there it is. Oh, it's my favorite time of the day. It's where we get the three amigos together to discuss this, that, and the other. You never know what will come up in a conversation with the three amigos. Amigo number one, he's in the newsroom. He's the bearded wonder. You know him, you love him, you can't live without him. It's Ken Weaver, ladies and gentlemen.
Good afternoon, boys.
That's
Yeah.
polite golf clap. And then they're there in the control room pushing the blinky buttons. You know him, you love him, you can't live without him. It's Chris Weber, ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening, boys.
And I am Brian Wilson, amigo number three, and together we make up the three amigos. The idea is we bring some weird story to the table, and then we have a conversation about it. You know, and sometimes we get off the topic. Mine is not so much a funny story or a weird story. It's just one of those things that I think it's from real life. And
Okay.
and I want to know what you guys think about this. And then Ken, this probably is not going to be a problem for you.
Okay.
And Chris, I doubt that it's going to be as much a problem for you as it will be for me. But I don't know.
right.
I don't know what to do. So this is a story out of the UK. A man is slammed over an annoying plane habit that a lot of tall people do.
Oh, boy.
A man has been criticized for man-spreading on a plane without considering the discomfort it might cause the other passengers. The 26-year-old man shared his experience of traveling on a 6-hour flight sandwiched between two women in their 20s and 30s. Describing himself as tall, he admitted that his knees often ache when forced in the same position for an extended period. Now, this is true. I mean, I have this all the time. If you sit in the same position, if I sit in the same position for like more than like an hour, my knees start to ache.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they really start to get painful.
Mm-hmm.
So he said, he said, I usually try to take a walk around the airport to stretch my legs, but neglected it this time. It was on Spirit Airlines, he says, so even less leg room than usual. About a half an hour after takeoff, I found my left knee aching and inching to the side, looking for just a little bit of relief. And he said, I wasn't paying attention to my knee the entire time. I'll concede it's possible that at some point I was occupying space that rightfully belonged to my window seat neighbor. All was well for 2 hours. But then the situation took an ugly turn when the woman in her 20s called over a flight attendant and complained about him invading her space. She reportedly said something like, quote, "Could you tell him to get his effing leg off in his own seat?" Apparently she dropped a lot of F-bombs.
Fiddlesticks.
Yeah, fiddlesticks. That's right. And so she complained, and the guy immediately was, deeply embarrassed. But he was frantically apologizing, but she wasn't having any of it, and kept on and on and on and on. So the whole thing comes down to, what do you do in a situation like that? I mean, first of all, to me, yeah, you got to be careful about that kind of stuff. You pay for a seat, not 3 seats.
Yeah.
And so, that's something that thank goodness, one of the people I'm always traveling with is Cabana wife.
Mm-hmm. And
so she's pretty okay with me maybe encroaching on her seat a little. Because she's married to me, she can't say much about it.
That's right.
But I mean, if you're on a plane and you find yourself in that dreaded middle seat, and you're 6'4" like I am, what do you do in a situation like that? Now, was he wrong? Yes. Was she a jackass? Absolutely.
100%.
Well, yeah.
That's part of the problem with today's society. She couldn't just politely ask the man, "Excuse me, can your knee's getting a little into my territory here?"
Right.
And the guy would have said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize," and then it would have been fine.
It could have been resolved. Why did you have to call a flight attendant in and start dropping F-bombs?
F-bombs, yeah.
Yeah.
Totally unnecessary.
Yeah. See, that's the thing. So many times when somebody does something that's irritating, if you just politely say, "Hey, I'm sorry. Could you not do that?" The other one that I always wrestle with is I don't do it anymore, but it used to be that, I felt like I had every right to recline the seat. Because I paid for the seat reclines, right?
Yep.
And the person behind me, their seat reclines. So, if everybody reclines, then, everybody's in the same boat. But I mean, I've come to find out that is considered among the rudest things you can do. And I don't understand it, but apparently it is.
Yeah, I don't get that one either. I still recline my seat whenever I fly. Not every time, but I'd say the majority of the time I do it, yeah. And no one said anything to me.
Depends on if the person behind me is drinking coffee. I don't like their breath.
You and the coffee breath.
Coffee breath.
I think you might have a very sensitive nose, Ken.
Oh, I've got a lot of things.
But I mean, apparently you're super sensitive to odors, right?
Not necessarily, just people's breath on a plane.
Coffee breath, yeah.
The air is thick, just like people's breath.
What if I get real close to you with my coffee breath and I start whispering to you?
I don't like whispering. Yeah,
Hey, Ken, how you like my breath?
Yeah, I've got one of those. I've never been diagnosed, but I do think I have one of those disorders where certain sounds set me off.
Yeah.
Smacking. I cannot stand to hear something whenever Biden was giving speeches.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord have mercy. I'd have to listen to it.
Yeah.
But you could hear his mouth.
Is it like the nails on a chalkboard type of reaction?
That sort of thing, yeah. I mean, if you think about noises that you don't like if you have this condition, I mean, it's hard to stay under control.
Yeah, I don't. The nails on the chalkboard doesn't bother me, but nails on cardboard does.
Yeah.
I hate that sound.
Just for some reason, that sound gets a rise out of it.
Well, I mean, here I just get back to this story. I just think, you know what? At the end of the day, why do you have to be a jerk about it? I mean, honestly, the guy, even if he was doing it on purpose, you get at least one warning. I think, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's just part of being civilized.
Yeah, exactly. And here's the thing: the guy can't help it. He can't help which seat they put him in.
Yeah, well, that's true, and to some degree. I mean, you can pay for first class, but a lot of people can't afford to pay for first class. So, I don't pay for first class. I may have to when Southwest changes their seating stuff. Which I am not looking forward to, but because I know how to game the system at Southwest and end up in what I consider to be Southwest first class.
Mm-hmm.
There's one seat that has no chair in front of it. It's in the exit aisle. And if you get in the first 8 through 15, you have a pretty good chance of getting that seat, or at least something in the exit row with a little more leg room.
Yeah.
But now they're going to charge you extra for all that.
Right. And I think the airlines themselves, the manufacturers, I mean, why do you got to cram people in so close?
Well, more seats equals more money.
That's right.
There you go.
Right. They're trying to squeeze out that extra revenue. I think you take out one row of seats and you even it out.
Yes.
Over the course of the whole plane. And that, give everybody, half an inch or an inch.
Yeah. I mean,
really,
that little bit of change would make a big difference.
It makes such a big difference.
Yeah.
It certainly does. It really, really does.
Huge difference. Yeah, that may be why sometimes, why we seem to go through these phases where we have like a spike in, airline incidents, if you will.
Yeah.
I mean, we're getting ready to go into a very busy Thanksgiving travel season.
And there's something about traveling that just puts some people on edge.
It does.
Really does. And look, and I've been a harried traveler at times, where you feel like you're rushing and you're late and everything's working against you. And then you go to the TSA and they're just standing on your last nerve with all their nonsense. And then, then you're rushing to get down to you get there, you're just like, a little wired.
Yep.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it.
And then some guy man spreads. Next thing you know, you're dropping F-bombs.
That's right. All right. Well, that's what I wanted to talk about today. What do you guys got?
Go ahead, Brother Chris.
Well, this one is kind of weird. The headline sounds like the beginning of a Dateline episode. As she sipped margaritas and sunned herself in the Mexican sun of Cancun, Kim Hall was having the time of her life.
Or was she?
But the dream holiday ended in a nightmare that could see her spend the rest of her years behind bars. The story is this lady, she's a Brit. She was offered a free holiday to Mexico. There's the first red flag. By a couple of British men that she befriended on an earlier trip to Portugal, who said they had some real estate interests in Central America. Well, she had a lovely trip in Cancun, but towards the end of the week, the men asked her if she would take a couple suitcases home with her.
Oh, no.
Which they said was full of $250,000 in cash. She says, I agreed to it because there was no reason not to. It was just money, and I didn't see anything wrong with it. I had no suspicion that it was drugs.
Yeah.
Well, that is until she got to Chicago on her layover to head back to London, where TSA, or I guess I'm assuming it was TSA, I'm not sure, but anyway, they were suspicious of her bags and decided to do a random check. And as she passed through security, they opened one of the cases up, and the guy says, "What are you trying to bring in?" And she looked at the case and thought, wait a minute, that's not money. Is it cheese, she thought? I don't know why. They started uncovering it and found that it was indeed drugs, and she may now face up to 60 years in jail for bringing these the drugs back into the
story. Then
they're not buying the story, but she came with quite a tale. She says that towards the end of the trip, after she was asked to bring the suitcases home, the guy started to get a little antsy because she missed her first flight back home, and then she says they started threatening her. And they were annoyed because they thought she was trying to avoid taking the suitcases. They dragged her off the bed this is her account of it, dragged her off the bed by her hair and held a gun to her head and says, "I'll effing shoot you," if she did not get on the plane. So she finally did get on the plane, but now she faces a long time in jail. Obviously, she's professing her innocence in all this, but you know what?
Yeah.
She had to know something was up. First of all, nobody gives you a free vacation.
No.
And second of all, when someone asks you to take a bag back on an airplane, I think that's a pretty big red flag.
And you should look at it and see what's in there.
Yeah, go ahead. Here, just put it on my shoulder.
Well, I guess what, Ken? You get to save yours for tomorrow.
Okie dokie.
Because we went over. I talked too long about airplane etiquette. It's 51 minutes past the hour.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
6 o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories, and the coldest air of the season may be moving in. We've got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. An urgent warning tonight. If you have an iPhone, iPad, or Mac product by Apple, experts say you should update them immediately, as ABC's Alex Stone tells us.
It's a stark warning from cybersecurity experts. Update your Apple product operating systems right now because there is a security flaw that may have been actively exploited. Apple has just released what is called a zero-day patch. The flaw was uncovered by Google's threat analysis group, which focuses on countering targeted and government-backed hacking. Apple, without giving details, says the issue may have been actively exploited. Downloading the latest update in your Apple settings will fix the vulnerability.
Trump transition update. Reports say the House Ethics Committee emerged from a 2-hour meeting today without an agreement reached on releasing the Matt Gaetz report investigating allegations that Gaetz had sex with a minor. That inquiry abruptly ended last week when Gaetz resigned from Congress hours after President-elect Trump said he was going to nominate him for Attorney General. Gaetz came under investigation in 2021 after accusations of illicit drug use and sex with a minor, but the Department of Justice, which Gaetz has been tapped to lead, ultimately did not press charges. Gaetz himself has consistently denied all wrongdoing. Illegal immigrant Jose Ibarra has been sentenced to life in prison without parole for the kidnapping and murder of Georgia nursing student Laken Riley in February. Prosecutors declined to seek the death penalty for Ibarra. Prior to sentencing, Laken's mother, Allison Phillips.
There is no end to the pain, suffering, and loss that we have experienced or will continue to endure. On that horrific day, my precious daughter was attacked, beaten, and shown no mercy.
Now, weeks after the election, the murder of Laken Riley still reverberates in the political world. Even now, President-elect Donald Trump posting, quote, "It is time to secure our border and remove these criminals and thugs from our country so that this never happens again." Meanwhile, in front of a parole board in Columbia, South Carolina, here's Alex Stone again.
It was a case that captivated the country 30 years ago. Susan Smith claimed she had been carjacked and blamed a black man, pleading for their safe return of the two boys, but she killed them by rolling her car into a South Carolina lake with them strapped into their car seats. 3 decades later, on Wednesday, she pleaded to a parole board for freedom.
I'm sorry.
Her ex-husband asked the board to keep her locked up. The decision was quick. The parole board unanimously voted against granting Smith parole.
Alex Stone reporting, and that's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Getting messy out there. In addition to the usual slowdowns, we've got crashes slowing you down. Right now, West Nashville, 40 westbound, right there at 46th Avenue. Then 840 westbound in Williamson County between Arno Road and Paytonsville Trinity. 3 vehicles in that crash blocking the right shoulder. And in Franklin, we've got a crash blocking the right 3 lanes of 65 southbound between Paytonsville Road and Goose Creek Bypass and I-840. Traffic every 10 minutes, every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, good evening, everybody. It's 8 minutes past the hour of 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. I'm Brian Wilson. I am your friend and radio buddy, and I'm in here for hour number 4 of The Drive on this Wednesday, November 20th. Hope that you're doing well. Hope you think you got a lot of things, getting home safely, and everything's going well for you on this. Well, it's cooling down, 52 degrees, but apparently we're in for some colder weather. I was just looking here at my my trusted weather app, and we're talking about tonight, temperatures dipping down, I don't know, in Nashville to 37, they say. 36 tomorrow morning, Friday morning. And I mean, but temperatures in the day will get up to about 40, 46, 47, 48 degrees over the next couple of days.
What I saw earlier was that while temperatures highs will be in the 40s, it's going to feel like the 30s because it's going to be breezy those days.
Oh, it's feel like temperature.
So quite chilly, apparently.
I didn't quite look at the feel like temperature. That changes everything. But anyway, I look at the 10-day here. Yeah, you're probably right. You're probably right. Breezy, but I mean, there'll still be a lot of sunshine, but breezy. I have mixed emotions about that because I'm really overwhelmed with leaves.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what I did? I bought one of these big bagger unit that goes on the back of my zero-turn mower.
Oh yeah, those are slick.
Well, they are slick, but you'd be surprised how quickly they fill up.
Yeah, you still got to empty them.
And then at the end of the day, what do you do with them?
Yeah, get those big paper bags and.
Well, these are nylon bags, and they pull them out, and then you dump them. But where do you dump them? What do you do with all these leaves? You can't burn them right now because, well, I guess maybe you could after the rain, but for a while they didn't want you burning anything.
Mm-hmm.
So I've started a compost pile.
Oh,
a gigantic compost pile. Then I have no idea what I'm going to do with all the compost.
Well, maybe Cabana Wife could come up with some good plants to use it on.
Yes, yeah, honey, go out there and dig all the compost you want because I got a ton of it out there in the corner of the lot. No, I did that. So, but I will say it's great because it sure beats raking. That's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
There's nothing I hate. When I was in the D.C. area, I lived in suburban Maryland, and I lived on a corner lot. And I had these old growth trees that were behind the house. And so every fall, I mean, we would get so many leaves. And so, I was just I was talking to my neighbor one day. I said, oh, these leaves, man, I got to do something about it. And the neighbor said, yeah, I've been out here raking leaves. I said, well, actually, my whole theory is I'm waiting for a good wind to come out of the right direction. They'll end in your yard. I won't have to rake any leaves. And I just said it as a joke. I wasn't serious.
Yeah.
but that did happen once, but I really didn't plan it that way. And the next thing I know, the person goes up and puts like a security barrier between my yard and their yards, so all the leaves would get stuck in my side of the yard and wouldn't get into their yard.
He showed you.
Yeah, I did. Really, honestly, I was only teasing. But yeah, I hate raking leaves. But this thing, man, sucks them up good. But the problem is, if you don't empty it real regular, then you get the whole thing jammed up.
Yeah, it just gets clogged up.
And unclogging that is a challenge because you got to dig your hand way down there and pull all that crap out of there. Yeah, but again, much better than having to actually rake the leaves.
That's right.
Yep. Well, I just decided I'm too old to rake leaves. Life's too short to rake leaves. And they just look so unsightly if you don't do anything about them.
Yeah, they say that that it's better not to rake them. Just let them naturally decompose.
Well, some people say, we'll get a mulching mower and turn them into, but it just looks tacky. You got tattered leaves all over your yard. That's not right. Okay, well, anyway. You know what? Ellen DeGeneres. Have you heard this? I did not know this. During the election, we heard all of these Hollywood people say, well, if Trump wins, I'm leaving the country. I'm going to be on a jet. And I think Eva Longoria, I think she actually said that she was going to leave. I don't know if she did or not.
Probably not.
Yeah. Can you check that, see if there's a story about that? But Ellen DeGeneres has moved to Great Britain, along with her wife, Portia de Rossi. They've moved to rural England. They put their Montecito estate on the market and plan to never return to the United States, telling friends the election of Donald Trump was their primary motivation. A person close to the former TV host told The Wrap. This comes from The Wrap. Through the incoming Republican, though the incoming Republican administration was the cited catalyst, she has been open about being kicked out of show business after reports of having a toxic workplace behavior. Remember all those stories about, she always ended her show saying, be kind to one another. But apparently she was, one hears, wasn't very kind to her staff. DeGeneres has already moved to the Cotswolds area, a rural area in south central England, adding that her Montecito mansion, roughly 90 minutes north of Los Angeles, has been pocket listed or will be listed soon. A representative for Riskin Partners, the prestigious real estate company she retains, did not immediately respond to a request for comment on Wednesday. She bought that Montecito property in 2019 and had been their primary residence. Wasn't clear what would become of her other Southern California properties. But she says she's leaving. She's not coming back. Well, here's what I say about that. Excuse you. And the bulldog just sneezed. Here's what I say about that. You know what? That's great. If you're gonna say you're gonna do it, then do it. Don't mess around. Get after it. Go ahead and leave. But I thought that was interesting.
Eva Longoria, by the way, she did leave the United States. Apparently, she splits time between her homes in Spain and Mexico.
Well,
but she says she did not do it because of Trump's victory.
Listen, I think that's all good and fine. I met her one time during a Democrat convention, and was covering it. And she's a little tiny person. Have you ever seen her in real life?
No.
She's not very tall. She's a little tiny itty bitty person. And I bet she doesn't reach. I bet she's not even 5 feet tall.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, she's real little. And, of course, there was this sort of media scrum around her trying to get her to talk, and she didn't really want to talk. And I just decided, that I needed, by gosh, I needed to talk to Eva Longoria. And so I was, I'm a big guy, and I don't realize sometimes how big I am. It's something I've had to learn that apparently, that I come across as a big moose to some people. And so I have to be very careful about that. But I went after her with the microphone, and she was like, she had this look of terror in her eyes. And then she stopped and she let me interview her. And of course, everybody else crowded in and got the interview as well. But it was just, I was shocked standing next to her, how little tiny she is.
I didn't know that.
You end up, because of the job that I did, you got to always find yourself in these interesting places with interesting people. And that was just sort of a weird encounter. Me and Eva Longoria would have thunk it.
5'2", by the way, is what it says.
Says 5'2". Well, she seems smaller than that. In other news, Walmart, this is interesting, I think, that Walmart apparently reported today that it's doing very well. Well, it reported it yesterday, actually. Walmart stock hit new highs today, and Target is in the toilet. Target stock tumbled to a 52-week low on Wednesday, a day after Walmart shares soared to an all-time high, as the rival retailers' earnings reports again underscored how their performance has diverged. Target posted a biggest earning miss in 2 years and cut its forecast. I mean, a big one. They missed it by 20%. The company spoke about a deceleration of discretionary demand and blamed higher costs from rushing to move inventory ahead of a short-lived port strike in October. On the company's earnings call, CEO Brian Cornell described U.S. consumers who are shopping carefully as they work to overcome the cumulative impact of multiple years of price inflation and holding out for the best possible deal. Walmart, on the other hand, hiked its full-year forecast that it is gaining upper-income shoppers and seeing better trends for sales of merchandise outside of the grocery department, even as consumers look for value. Now, why is it? I mean, really, when you think about it, they're sort of the same. I mean, not really. I mean, Walmart is an experience all into its own, and Target is sort of, I would say probably looks at itself as being a bit more upscale than Walmart. But why is it that Walmart would be getting higher income shoppers and that Target would be losing market share? Could it have been that, that woke incident they had a while back? Is that the thing? Did people, here's the thing. Even if people decided, well, I'm not going to do any shopping at Target. I'll go to Walmart instead. And then they got over to Walmart and found out, hey, this ain't so bad. It works just fine for me. I wonder if that's it. But one way or the other, remember they had this thing where they got into all kinds of problems about some of the gay stuff that they were putting up in the front of the store, and everybody said, I don't really need that. I don't want to see that when I walk in. And it got to be a thing, and they backed down pretty quick after that. But isn't it interesting that Walmart is up and Target is down? This is from the CNBC, folks. The sharp differences between the two big box retailers and how their businesses are executing in the same economic backdrop illustrate where consumers are willing to spend money and where they are pulling back as customers remain selective about spending. That sharp divergence of the winners and losers in the industry could become even starker as retailers enter the most crucial sales season of the year. This is it. I mean, what are we headed to? We're here. Black Friday is coming. That is the big shopping day of the year, right? Although I'm not sure it's as important as it once was.
It kind of lost the steam with the internet stuff kind of taking over.
You can order the same stuff, but I mean, there are people who get up on the day after Thanksgiving and they're ready to go do their Christmas shopping and get it all done. And
waiting in line still, something in that evening.
Yeah, that's right. And so, some people, they've been starting earlier. I mean, some companies have been doing their Christmas shopping already. I mean, you can't even get to Halloween without them putting up their Christmas stuff. Not that I got much room to talk in my house this year. Michael Baker, a retail analyst at D.A. Davidson and Target, said the Target's disappointing results reflect the company's performance rather than the health of consumers. It's as simple as this. They are losing share. They are losing share to Walmart, Amazon, and Costco. Isn't that interesting? I don't know. I only go to Target for one thing. I can't find it anywhere else.
What's that?
Well, I'm sort of embarrassed to say now that you've asked me about it.
Well, you brought it up.
Well, I did, but it's a certain kind of hair gel.
Interesting.
You think this Anchorman good-looking hair gets that way all by itself? No, it requires a lot of gel.
You don't wake up that way?
I don't wake up looking like this. I have to work at it hard. And it's the problem is as you get grayer, your hair gets much more
coarser, yeah.
And it's hard to do anything with it. But I got some stuff that I get down at the Target that really whips it into shape. I mean, if you touch it, it will probably shatter. But one way or the other, but my hair stays in place mostly, even with these headphones on. Look, I mean, you got to say, coiffed beautifully, wouldn't you agree?
It's holding nicely.
Yeah. Ken Weaver, he's not even looking, is he?
Well, he didn't have any hair, so he didn't want to comment.
Yeah, it doesn't matter to him, and he's not participating in this silliness. But I just found it interesting. I don't know why that Walmart would be having all of these problems when some of the others are starting to show that the economy is turning around. And on that, I've milked that for all it's worth. 22 minutes now past the hour. Eurofix has a very different business philosophy. They staff all of their locations with more than the average auto repair shop, just so they can be ready when your emergency pops up out of nowhere. Have you ever noticed how hard it can be to get a right now appointment for vehicle repair? Some dealers, you can wait more than 2 weeks just to get in the door, but not at Eurofix. Eurofix has been offering quality repairs that beat the dealer without dealer pricing since 1999. Plus, a 3-year nationwide warranty and the staff to fix your car now. If you're tired of waiting forever to get your car in the shop, then call Eurofix. Owner Aaron Stokes says we will never be too busy for our customers. We are here to take their pain away and do it now. Eurofix repairs all European cars, and Eurofix says yes to speedy repair when others can't or won't. Family owned for 24 years. Call 844-EUROFIX or visit myEurofix.com. That's myEurofix.com.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
It is 27 minutes now past the hour of 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Everybody's getting ready for the mass deportation that's going to take place following President Trump when he becomes president on January 20th. Texas has offered up 1,400 acres to help them process people, I guess, give them a place to keep people while they're being processed and sent back across the border. The state purchased the land from a ranch owner last month, and according to the state of Texas Land Commissioner Don Buckingham wrote to President-elect Trump saying, "It's yours. We're fully prepared to enter into an agreement with the Department of Homeland Security, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or the United States Border Patrol to allow a facility to be built for the processing, detention, and coordination of the largest deportation of violent criminals in the nation's history." Well, you got to have a place to put them while you process them, I suppose. I don't know if that'll happen or not. Oklahoma is just saying they're going to do their part. Oklahoma Republican Governor Kevin Stitt says his state is creating a plan to deport illegal immigrants who are in custody in state prisons in a boost to President-elect Trump's proposal to conduct mass deportation operations next year. Stitt announced that he is directing the state's Commissioner of Public Safety to lead the effort to expel inmates in Oklahoma prisons who are in the country illegally by creating a plan to deal with them. The plan will be delivered by January, and the state says it will consult with the Trump transition team and incoming administration to implement it. Stitt downplayed the complexity of the effort, saying it was common sense in restoring Oklahoma to the rule of law, and so they are prepared to help out. Red states will be willing to help, and who knows what the blue states are going to do. There's this, though. This is from Stephen Dinan over at the Washington Times. Sex traffickers may be using a Biden administration parole program to sneak illegal immigrant women into the U.S., the House Judiciary Committee is revealing today in an explosive new report exposing fraud in one of Homeland Security's marquee border operations. Welfare recipients, people involved with criminal activity, and even other illegal immigrants have been approved as sponsors for parolees from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela. And Homeland Security admitted it doesn't have a way to check criminal records of would-be sponsors. Oh, my gosh. Indeed, the department said it approved sponsors who reported that at least some of their income came from illegal sources, such as criminal activity, and they still approved them. The report provided first to the Washington Times is the latest black eye for all of the what they call the CHNV program, Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, Venezuela, which had been paused this summer amid shocking allegations of fraud. This oversight has uncovered how the Biden administration's willingness to cast aside the best interests of Americans has enabled fraud, undermined national security, and endangered public safety, all in favor of ensuring that hundreds of thousands of otherwise illegal aliens can come to the United States through this program. Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas invented this program 2 years ago as the U.S. saw a startling surge of Venezuelans rushing the border. The idea was to encourage them to skip the border, fly directly into airports, relieving pressure on Border Patrol agents, and by the way, taking away a picture that they did not want the media to have. Though the migrants still here are as inadmissible aliens, meaning they lack legal status, they could be deported at any time and must leave the country when their 2-year parole period is up. It's going to be interesting to see how the Trump administration really handles all of this when time comes. Time for the news at 6:30. You know, Restoration Wellness is a leader in advanced therapy treatments for arthrosis and chronic pain in Middle Tennessee. Chronic pain affects 20% of all adults in the U.S., and chronic pain increases with age, affecting nearly 50% of all adults over the age of 65. Don't let your chronic pain control your life. Restoration Wellness has the newest technology in joint injections, a minimally invasive treatment to relieve pain without needing surgery. Restoration Wellness, a joint injection treatment, can relieve anything from shoulder pain to hip pain, knee pain, everything in between. Now, they put together personalized treatment plans specific to your needs. Let the team at Restoration Wellness help you achieve your health goals this year. Call the Restoration Wellness team today at 615-470-8124 or visit them at their website, restorationwellnessmedspa.com, to book a consultation today. You're going to meet my friends Carly and Jamie, who will take great care of you like you're part of the family. Say goodbye to your chronic pain and get a new lease on life. Don't let chronic pain control your life.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
.39 now past the hour of 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. About 21 minutes till we turn it over to Mark Levin, the great one, at the top of the hour after the news. And he will carry on throughout the evening. Carry on, my wayward son. So there you go. I don't know. Where did that come from? What is it? Kansas?
Kansas, yeah.
Kansas. Oh, quoting Kansas lyrics this evening. We in this town have approved a transit referendum in Nashville. And so the mayor is now going to start this whole process, and he's going to start building bus lanes, and we're going to do a lot of things with rapid bus transit, and we're going to be building all kinds of regional transit centers and all kinds of stuff. And I, to be honest with you, it'll be real interesting to watch how effectively the city of Nashville carries out this vision, because they're so effective and efficient in so many things. But I just thought that I would throw this out here in case anybody in the city of Nashville had a harebrained idea that what we needed were electric buses. You could see those guys going for this, right? Well, we need, let's not use gas, let's not use diesel, let's get electric buses. Well, that's what Austin did, and we should learn from their mistakes. This story from justthenews.com. Liberal Texas city Austin parks its 46 new e-buses due to inadequate charging infrastructure. The city spent, you ready, $255 million to acquire 197 electric buses. The buses broke down twice at the rate of diesel buses. And then the Austin Monitor reports that 46 new electric buses costing around $1 million apiece will be in storage for at least a year for lack of adequate charging infrastructure to keep them running all day. The buses were manufactured by a company called Proterra, which is now bankrupt, which has left the city transit districts across the country with fleets of inoperable buses. Proterra was acquired by Phoenix Motor Incorporated, which the Monitor reports is struggling to surface warranties and repair technical issues. The city's transit board appropriated $255 million to buy 197 electric buses, and apparently part of the problem is while diesel-powered buses could run for nearly 24 hours without refueling, an electric bus needs to recharge every 8 to 10 hours, which was creating some logistical issues. Drivers doing long routes often had to stop in the middle of the route to go charge. And the city's hot climate and hills were making it even worse. The buses also experienced breakdowns at more than twice the rate of diesel buses. In 2022, half the buses were broken down on average, and the figure improved only slightly last year. But apparently, one of the biggest problems, and this is, apparently trucking companies have looked into, well, maybe we should get these, instead of having big diesel trucks, we get big diesel get big electric semis and send our stuff to market, that way. And they can't do it because the infrastructure does not exist for them to charge all of those big trucks overnight. They just don't have enough electricity in the circuits or enough, infrastructure to carry the electricity to the facility, even if they had it. And they can't do it. And the same is, I think, being found out in a lot of places. It's a great idea. Let's get us some electric buses. That'll be great. And then you find out, well, not only do they break down and they're not reliable, you got to charge them in the middle of a shift. The other thing is apparently they don't have a charging infrastructure that will support the charging of 197 electric buses.
Didn't they think about that before they bought them?
You'd think, but Austin, there's never been it is among the most leftist cities in America. You'd be shocked at how left, just outside of Austin, it's not that way. But Austin is very, I don't know, I guess it's the university, it's the seat of government. I don't know what it is. I don't know why it's so that, but in the middle of Texas, you've got this city that is just unbelievably blue in a sea of red. And they're all a bunch of greenies, and they're a bunch of, they have a saying, let's keep Austin weird.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird, all right, in many ways. Austin has its charm, but I'm telling you, I would never live there. Just like, I made the decision I didn't want to live in Davidson County proper. I wanted to live outside of Davidson County because I didn't want to have to put up with the nonsense that goes on with our city hall in Davidson County. So, again, if you're thinking about electric buses, please think again. That's my advice. Please make a note of it. Fox News Channel makes history as MSNBC, CNN continue to implode since Election Day. It is really amazing. So, you had Mika and Joe who went to see Trump. And when they came back on Monday and told their audience about it, I love this. Nielsen data shows that the viewing figure started to dip just 56 minutes after Scarborough and Brzezinski began to explain their trip to Trump's Mar-a-Lago residence in Florida. Within an hour, they started to drop. Now, normally, what happens, they say in the show before that, is that they would start low and they would build. Each hour would have greater numbers than the last. But not this day. When they came out and announced that they had gone to Mar-a-Lago, people on the left started turning them off. Morning Joe, which airs for 4 hours each morning, regularly bills viewers hour over hour, according to Mediaite. But that's not what happened on this particular day. And at the same time, there's a story here that I've got. Fox News, tooting its own horn. Fox News Channel commanded its highest share of cable news audience in network history last week as CNN and MSNBC continue to hemorrhage viewers since Election Day. Fox News Channel averaged 1.9 million total viewers during the week of November 11th, finishing as the only cable option to crack 1 million. It comes this way. Fox News Channel, ESPN, is second. Hallmark Channel, unbelievably, is number 3. MSNBC is 4. CNN is number 5. CNN has only 337 average total viewers. I mean, this radio station may at times have more viewers than CNN has nationwide. So in a population of 330 million people, CNN has 337,000 average total viewers. Some hours, not even close to that. So people have made their decision. It is having, Fox is again way on top of the heap. When I was working at Fox, it was a big deal if you ever beat ESPN. Because, that was the hard thing to beat. But now, Fox beats it regularly. So there's that. Sonny Hostin, is it Hostin? Hostin? I can't remember. Sonny Hostin?
Hostin.
Hostin, yeah. She's the co-host of The View and ABC's senior legal correspondent. Had to issue a legal note after they did some kind of segment about Matt Gaetz. Matt Gaetz, this is what they had to say about, the allegations about Matt Gaetz. Matt Gaetz has long denied all allegations, calling the claims invented and saying in a statement to ABC News that this false smear following a 3-year criminal investigation should be viewed with great skepticism. The DOJ investigation was closed with no charges being brought. What happened there, I can tell you, I know exactly what happened here. They said something that was going to get them sued, and the legal department said you must immediately read the following copy. And she read it word for word without comment or commentary.
And she was real sour looking doing it,
too. She looked like she was sucking on lemons, absolutely sucking on lemons. And then this story, I think he's really a nice guy, and he's had a run of it. Jay Leno, did you hear this story?
Oh, I saw his picture.
Jay Leno is black and blue, and he is bruised. His face, half of his face is just purple.
Yep.
Fell down a 60-foot hill. He's going on his way to dinner. So he's 74. He suffered significant bruising to the left side of his face during the accident at the weekend, he told reporters, ahead of a show in Beverly Hills. So Leno, who was wearing a patch over his left eye, told Inside Edition that he had been staying at a Hampton Inn, 30 miles outside of Pittsburgh, on Saturday night. He took the tumble when he walked toward a restaurant close to the hotel ahead of performance he was doing nearby. Now, he didn't have a car, so they said, well, it's just about 1.5 miles from here. You can walk it. But he thought, well, if I'm going to have to walk it, maybe I can just cut by going down this hill instead of going around the hill.
Oh, the shortcut.
About 60, 70 feet hill. Didn't look too steep. Let's see if I can get down it. He fell. Boom, 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 boom. Hit a bunch of rocks. That did not stop him from going to perform 3 hours later. He was only treated at the hospital once, was back home in Los Angeles. It isn't a big deal, he said. That's my Jay Leno. It's not a big deal. It's all right, he told TMZ. He looks like hell.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
He looks really rough. But that he continued to do the show that night.
He's a trooper.
Yeah. And then the other thing is, Jay Leno stays at the Hampton Inn. This guy's worth millions. And he stays at the Hampton Inn?
That's why he's got millions, I guess.
I think he's a very frugal guy, except when it comes to spending money on his cars. Then he spends all kinds of money.
Those,
He recently blew himself up while he's working on cars.
Yeah,
so
right.
This is like the second big thing that's happened. Jay, take it easy, buddy. 50 minutes past the hour. All right, are relatives coming to your house for Thanksgiving dinner? Let Busy Bee help you by ensuring that your home is in-law and relative ready. Maybe you need a new heat pump. Busy Bee has a limited number of SEER 1 1/2 to 3 ton split heat pumps for residential units. This way, the replacement only, and it's $69.95. $6,995. Includes labor, equipment, material, and warranty. This system offers a great balance of energy efficiency, performance, and year-round comfort for residential unit replacement only. How about $750 off an upright tanked water heater with a circulation kit, or a free package upgrade for air duct cleaning? Whatever level you buy of the air duct cleaning, they will automatically upgrade it to the next highest level. And listen, you may want to think about giving a Beehive member to your in-laws. You must currently have a Beehive membership to qualify for the additional free Beehive membership for your in-laws. You see, Busy Bee is bringing families together. For satisfaction guaranteed, call Busy Bee HVAC, your Rude Pro partner, 775-7833, or visit busybeehvac.com.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.